Puetashi. The turkey sat on the table like a golden throne, 14 pounds, stuffed with sage and onion, skin crisp as autumn leaves. My wife Monet had been up since 4 a.m. basting that bird. She used her mother's recipe. The one with the honey glaze and the secret sprinkle of cayenne. Raved turkeys for 42 years. This, my son-in-law Derek insisted on doing it. Let me handle it, Frank, he said, clapping me on the shoulder. His palm was damp, always damp. You've a break. I should have known something was wrong by the way he said break. Derek was a tall man, 6'2", broad shoulders from his college football days, though now the shoulders ride more fat than muscle. He wore a sweater vest over a button-down, brown loafers with tassel. The kind of shoes that squeaked when he walked across a hardwood. My daughter Sarah stood beside him. She was wearing the blue dress, the one her grandmother had knitted for her 10th birthday. Sarah loved, wore it every Thanksgiving out of tradition, but her smile didn't reach her eyes. I noticed that right away. Ra, I said quietly, as I poured myself a glass of bourbon. I said, Sarah, okay. My wife gave me a look, the look that said, not now, Frank. Not at the table, so I let it go. The dining room was full. My son Michael and his wife Karen, their 2 boys ages 9 and 11, already bouncing in their chairs. My sister Patricia and her husband Bill. My old fishing buddy Leo and his wife Marge. 13 people in total. The house smelled like cinnamon and butter and roasted meat. Derek stood at the head of the table. He held the carving knife, the one with the rosewood handle. The one my grandfather had brought over from the old country. Everyone ready, Derek said. He had a salesman's voice, smooth, confident. The kind of voice that made you trust him even when your gut said otherwise. Ra stepped closer. Maybe let Dad. Relax, Derek cut her off. I've got this. He positioned the knife over the turkey breast. And then Ra reached for the platter. I don't know why. Maybe she was trying to steady the dish. Maybe she was just nervous. Maybe she had seen something in Derek's eyes that I couldn't see from my seat. Whatever the reason, her hand touched the ceramic edge of the platter. Derek didn't say a word. He shoved her. Not a push, not a nudge, a shove. His left hand slammed into her shoulder blade, the full force of his arm. I heard the thump of his palm against her dress. I heard her share. I saw her eyes widen in pure shock. Sarah flew forward. Her face hit the turkey. The bird flipped off the platter. Gravy splashed across the tablecloth. The white ceramic dish crashed against the floor and shattered into a dozen pieces. And Sarah's head, her head had driven into that golden, crispy bird. Her nose split open. Blood poured down into the stuffing, a dark red river mixing with the brown gravy. The room went silent. I mean silent. No one breathed. No one moved. Even the boys stopped bouncing. Derek looked down at his wife. She was dead, her hands pressed against her face, blood trickling between her fingers. A single tear rolled down her cheek, cutting a clean line through the crimson. Sarah, I said, but I couldn't move. My legs were frozen. My hands gripped the armrests of my chair so my knuckles went white. And my sister readied to stand. Oh my God, it's fine, Derek said. He said it like he was ordering a cup of coffee. It's fine. He pulled her upright. She swayed on her feet. Her dress was soaked with gravy and turkey fat. Bits of stuffing clung to her hair. Go clean up, Derek told her. I'll handle this. Sarah looked at him. And then, this is what I will never forget, she apologized. I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't mean to ruin the turkey. Derek smiled a wide white-toothed smile. Accidents happen, babe, go on. Sarah walked out of the dining room. Her footsteps were unsteady. She had to hold onto the doorframe. A drip of blood fell onto the hardwood. Raisa followed her. I could hear my wife's trembling voice. Sarah, honey, look at me. But I stayed at the table. Everyone stayed at the table. Derek wiped the carving knife with a napkin. He picked the turkey off the floor, held it up like a trophy. Well, he said, this one's done for. He threw it in the trash. Then he walked to the kitchen, pulled out the backup turkey, the smaller one. Reutha always made a backup, just in case. He placed it on the platter, the one with the chip in the corner that Rotha refused to throw away. And then he carved it slice thin, perfect slices, like a surgeon making incisions. I told you, he said, sliding a piece onto my plate. I've got this. I read at the turkey on my plate, perfectly keyed, a little steam rising from the surface. I thought about Sarah's blood mixing with the gravy on the other bird. I thought about the way Derek had shoved her, casual, like he had done it 1,000 times before. And I thought about how no one at this table had said a word. Not Patricia, not Leo, not even me. I lifted my fork, I put the turkey in my mouth, and I chewed. The rest of the meal was a blur. Everyone talked, everyone laughed. The boys wrestled on the floor until Michael told them to stop. Patricia told her story about the neighbor's dog digging up her petunias. Bill complained about his prostate. Leo made a joke about his wife's pumpkin pie being too dense for a man of my age. Normal Thanksgiving. But I watched Derek. I watched every single thing he did. When he reached for the mashed potatoes, he leaned across his mother-in-law without saying excuse me. When Sarah came back from cleaning her face, she'd put a bandage over her nose. He didn't look at her. He just said, "Pass the cranberry sauce," and she passed it, like a trained dog. I watched her hands. They were shaking, slight tremors, the kind you see in people who are always bracing for impact. She sat down in her chair. She didn't eat. She just pushed her food around her plate. I looked at Amartha. My wife's face was pale. She kept glancing at Sarah, then at Derek, then back at Sarah. Her jaw was tight. The vein in her temple was pulsing. My wife knew something, and suddenly, I was angry, not at Derek, not yet, at myself. I had sat there. I had watched a man shove my daughter into a turkey. I had watched her bleed. I had watched him carve the backup bird like it was nothing. And I had done nothing. I was 72 yay. I had fought in Vietnam. I had raised 2 children. I had built this house with my own 2 hands. And I had frozen. Something shifted in me at that moment. Not a snap, not an explosion, a cold, clear decision. I would on the truth, and then I would take care of it. After dinner I went into the garage. That's where I keep my tools, my workbench, my grandfather's knife, which I had taken back from Derek while he was busy pouring himself a second glass of wine. I held the knife in my hands, rosewood handle, steel blade, sharp enough to shave with. My grandfather had used this knife in the old country. He'd been a butcher, a man who understood the difference between cutting meat and cutting something alive. He taught me 2 things. Always sharpen your blade before you work. 2. Never let anyone see you coming. I put the knife in my tool chest, locked it, and I walked back inside. Sarah and Derek left around 8. I watched from the window as Derek got into his truck. It was a brand new Ford F-150 black. Spotless. The kind of truck a man buys to prove something. Sarah walked around to the passenger side. She opened the door. She climbed up. Derek reached across and did something. I couldn't see what, but Sarah flinched. The truck drove away. Maruta said. I turned around. My wife was standing in the kitchen doorway, dish towel in her hands. She was twisting it, the way she always did when she was upset. We need to talk, she said. No, I said. I need to think. I walked past her, up the stairs, into our bedroom. I closed the door, and I sat down on the edge of the bed. For a long, I just stared at the wall. Then I opened my nightstand drawer. I took out my old pocket watch, the one Sarah had given me for Father's Day. She had saved up her babysitting money to buy it. She was 12. The watch still worked. I opened the back. Inside, I had taped a photo, Sarah and me, fishing off the pier at Lake Michigan. She was holding up a bluegill like it was a trophy. I looked at that photo, and I made a promise. I would find out what Derek had done to my daughter, and then I would make him pay. No police, no courts, just me. Ma knocked on the door at 9:30. Open up. I opened it. She was still holding that dish towel. Her eyes were red. Tell me, I said. She stepped inside and closed the door behind her. She leaned against it like she needed the support. I've seen things, she said. Little things. What kind of things? She shook her head. Bruises, on her arms, on her back. She tried to hide them. Long sleeves in July. But I saw. My jaw tightened. How long? 6 months, maybe longer. She told me not to say anything. She said it would get better. Did it? Mayworth's face crumbled. It got worse last month. She came over on a Tuesday. She said she'd dropped something, but her eye was swollen, black and blue. I felt the room tilt. She told you it was a fall. She lied. I let her lie. I didn't push. Why didn't you tell me? Meme stared cryingers. She begged me not. She said Derek would be furious. She said he'd make it worse. How much worse? Martha looked at me, and in that look, I saw everything. 3 months ago, she whispered. She had a miscarriage. The floor dropped out from under me. A miscarriage. She said it was stress, but the doctor, he had questions. Bruising on her abdomen. Sarah told him it was a car accident. She told me the truth later, on the phone, crying so loud I could barely understand her. I sat back down on the bed. My hands were shaking. My little girl who used to climb onto my lap and ask me to tell her stories about the sky. My little girl who had held a bluegill like a trophy. Retha said. What are we going to do? I stood up. I walked to the closet. I opened it. I pulled out the old shoebox, the one with my Vietnam stuff medals, photos, a folded flag, and under the flag, I had kept something else, a .38 revolver, Smith & Wesson. I hadn't touched it in 30 years. I picked it up. Frank, I'm just looking, I said. But I wasn't. I was thinking. I was thinking about how easy it would be. One dark night. Derek never sees it coming. I put the gun back, not because I changed my mind. Because I knew that would be too quick. That would be mercy. And Derek didn't deserve mercy. The next morning, I woke up at 5. Retha was still asleep. I walked downstairs, made coffee black. No cigar the way I like it. I sat at the kitchen table and drank it slow. The sun came up over the pines, orange and pink and gold. The kind of sunrise that usually made me feel grateful. This morning, I felt nothing but purpose. I needed a plan. I needed to understand what kind of man Derek really was. Not the salesman, not the son-in-law. The man underneath. I grabbed my coat. I put on my boot. I walked out to the garage. My truck was a 2006, 200,000 miles, rust on the fenders, but the engine ran strong like me, old but not finished. I drove to the Rolla Restore, not for tools, for information. E.A. Rawl, the owner, he knew everyone in town, knew everyone's business, and he didn't like Derek. I knew that because Derek had tried to short pay E.A. Rawl on a lumber order last spring. E.A. Rawl had mentioned it at the VFD hall, mentioned it loud. E.A. Rawl was drinking coffee behind the counter when I walked in. Frank, he said, Raleigh Bird. You got a minute? He looked at my face. Must have seen something there. He nodded. Back office. We sat down in his cluttered office. Old calendar was on the wall, stacks of invoice, a radio playing country. Tell me what you know about Derek, I said. E.A. Rawl leaned back in his chair. What kind of thing you looking for? Everything. He studied me. This about Sarah. I didn't answer. I didn't have to. E.A. Rawl sighed. I hard things. I didn't want to believe them. But I hard what? Credit cards, a boat loan. Something with a casino in Michigan City. Derek gambles. E.A. Rawl not. He used to come in here bragging about his winnings. Then the bragging stopped. He stopped coming in altogether. Started sending us Ra came here 3 times. She looked scared, her hands shaking when she handed me the credit card. That's when I started paying attention. What else? E.A. Rawl leaned forward. I saw him once at the roadhouse, out on the highway. He was with a woman. Nasra, my blood turned cold. Who? I don't know her name. Blonde, young, maybe 28. They were sitting in a booth. He had his hand on her knee. When? 2 months ago, maybe 3. I stood up. Thanks, E.A. Rawl friend. UBC refill. I walked out of the Rue Restore with my mind racing. Gambling, infidelity, and violence. The picture was building, but I still didn't have proof. Not the kind I needed. I drove to Sarah's house. It was a split level in the suburbs, nice neighborhood, picket fence, Derek's truck in the driveway. He was home. I paraded across the street. I didn't go to the door. I sat in my truck and I watched. For an hour, nothing. Then the front door opened. Derek came out. He was ring workout clothes, running He stretched on the front lawn like he didn't have a CA in the world. Then he jogged off down the street. I waited 60 seconds. Then I got out of my truck. I walked up the driveway. I knocked on the door. Sarah opened it. Her face was a mess. Bruise on her cheek, a fresh one. Dark purple, her lip was split. Dade, she said, her voice cracked. What are you doing here? I pushed past her. I came to see my daughter. She closed the door. She was crying now. Dad, you can't be here. If he sees you, let him see me. She grabbed my arm. Her grip was surprisingly strong. Please, you don't understand. Then make me understand. She broke down right there in the hallway, collapsed against the wall, sobs ring out of her throat. He's going to kill me, she whispered. I knelt down beside her. No, he's not, said he would. He said if I ever tried to leave, he would find me and kill me, and Mom, and you. Issara, meant it, Dad. He's not the same person. He's not the man I'm a ride. I helped her up, led her to the couch. She sat down and buried her face in her hands. Tell me everything, I said. And she did. It took 2 hours. Everything, from the beginning. How Derek had been charming and sweet. How the first slap had happened 6 months into the marriage. How he had apologized, promised it would never happen again. How it kept happening. How he'd lost his job 2 years ago and blamed her for his bad luck. How he'd started drinking more, spending more, the gambling debts, the casino trips, the other women, the miscarriage. By the time she finished, my hands were numb. I had been gripping my knees so hard I'd lost feeling in my fingers. Dade, she said. I know I should have left, but I was so scared. Where is he now? Gym. He always goes to the gym for 2 hours on Saturday. He'll be back at noon. I looked at the clock. 10:45. Ra, I need to ask you something. She looked at me. Do you have any evidence? Anything I can take to someone? She stared at me blankly. Evidence? Kudos or anything. She hesitated. Then she stood up. Wait here. She disappeared into the bedroom. I heard her opening drawers, moving furniture. She came back with a shoebox, a different one than mine. She set it on the coffee table. I started keeping things, she said. 6 months ago. I don't know why. Maybe I knew it would come to this. She opened the box. It was full of photographs, Polaroids, cell phone prints, bruises, black eyes, splits in her lip, cuts on her arms, photos of her swollen belly, the one she had lost, with purple marks on the skin. I didn't want to believe he could do it, she said. Every time I thought about leaving, I told myself I was being dramatic, that it wasn't that bad. I looked at the photos. My hands started shaking again. Sarah, this is a pattern. I know. He's done this to you more than you've told me. She nodded. He has a rage in him, something that comes out without do or running. Sometimes I'll say something, and he just snaps. Did he know you had these photos? No, but I think he suspects. He reads my phone sometimes. He's found other things. That's why I stay rotted printing them and hiding them. I took the box. I'm going to take this. She grabbed my wrist. Dad, he'll know. He'll come looking for them. Let him. Be ireful. I stood up. I will. But I need you to promise me something. If he ever hurts you again, I mean ever, you call me. You don't wait. You don't cover for him. You call me and I will come. She nodded. I leaned down and kissed her forehead. I love you, baby girl. She started crying again. I love you too, Dad. I left through the back door, walked through the neighbor's yard to avoid being seen, got in my truck and drove home. The shoebox sat on the passenger seat. Evidence, but I needed more. Over the next week, I dug deeper. I called a private investigator I knew from the VFW. Tony Memrichirid cop. Knew how to keep his mouth shut. I paid him $3,000. It was half my saving. He started following Derek. Day 1, he found Derek at a bar with the blonde. They stayed until midnight. He had his hands all over her. She was a cocktail waitress named Crystal. He found Derek at a casino in Hammond. Lost $1,500 in 2 hours. Then he called S.A. Ra and yelled at her to wire him money. She did. He caught Derek screaming at S.A. Ra in their driveway, pushed her against the car. She fell. He walked away and left her there. The neighbors didn't come out. They never did. I collected all of it, photos, names, dates, times. I built a file. And I built a plan. But I was missing one piece. The most important piece. I needed to know why. Why didn't she call the police? Why did she apologize after he shoved her into that turkey? I had to understand the psychology, so I started reading. I went to the library. I sat in the back corner and read about domestic abuse, about trauma bond, about the cycle of violence, 3 phases, tension building, explosion, honeymoon. After the explosion, the abuser apologizes. He promises to change. He sends flowers. He cries. He's so sorry. And the victim believes him. Because the alternative is too terrifying. That's why Sarah stayed. That's why she apologized. She wasn't weak. She was trapped in a cage built by love, twisted into terror. I closed the book and read at the ceiling. I thought about my grandfather's knife. I thought about the .38 in my closet. I thought about all the things I could do to Derek. But I knew violence wasn't the answer. Not just any violence, strategic violence. I needed to make him pay in a way that he would never recover from. Not his body, his life. 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, I made my move. I invited everyone to my house again. Same group, same time. Derek was suspicious. He called Sarah and asked why I was hosting again so soon. I don't know. Sarah said she was lying. She knew exactly why. But she played her part perfectly. I think Dad just likes having the family together, she told him. Derek didn't buy it, but he couldn't refuse. He'd look bad to the family, and Derek read about appearances more than anything. So he agreed. I started preparing. I talked to my lawyer, a man named Leon Ard. Old school, kept his mouth shut. I told him what I had. I showed him the file. He looked at it for a long time. Then he leaned back in his chair and exhaled. He said, "You could take this to the police. This is enough for a restraining order. Possibly criminal charges." I said, "I want a civil suit." "For what?" "Intentional infliction of emotional distress. Battery assault." Leon Arster read at me. "You're a private citizen. He doesn't have money. He has his truck. He has his father's land up north. He has a retirement account from his old job. I want it all." Leonard shook his head. "The legal system is slow, Frank. And expensive. You don't have the money." "I'm not using the legal system." He frowned. "Then what are you using?" I told him. It took 10 minutes. When I finished, Leonard was quiet for a long time. "Frank, that's a hell of a gamble." I shrugged. "I've been gambling for 72 years. I'm due to win, or lose everything. Then I lose everything. But I'll have done something." Leonard sighed. "I'll draw up the papers. But I'm not sure this will work." "It will work." "How can you be sure?" I smiled. "Because I know my daughter's husband. He has a temper and a fragile ego, and if I push the right buttons, he will hang himself." The morning of the second Thanksgiving, I woke up at 4. Ma Rutha was already in the kitchen. She was making the turkey again. She looked at me with tired eyes. "Avery, you sure about this, Frank?" "Positive." She nodded. She didn't ask questions. She trusted me. I walked through the house. Checked everything. The video camera in the living room, hidden inside the grandfather clock, recording audio and video. The witnesses I had invited, extra people, the neighbors on both sides, 2 police officers I knew from the VFW, off duty but willing to observe my past, S.A. Ra's childhood friend Jess, who had May write a lawyer and knew how to keep calm. They all arrived early. They all took their seats. They all looked at me with curious expressions. I had told them it was a surprise. A special announcement. Derek arrived at noon. He walked in with Sarah. He was wearing his best sweater. He was smiling. But I saw his jaw tighten when he saw the extra people. "Frank," he said, "what's all this?" Son." I clapped him on the shoulder. "More the merrier." He looked around. His eyes flicked to the police officers. He recognized them. He didn't say anything, but I saw the worry in his eyes. We sat down to dinner. Same seating, same golden turkey. I let Derek see Arvid again. He picked up the knife. His hand was shaking, slight tremor. He was nervous. Essara sat beside him. She was wearing the blue dress again. Her face was healed, no bruises. She had been sea-reeful. Didn't give him any reason to hurt her for the past 2 weeks. Go ahead, son, I said. Show us how it's done. Derek put the knife to the turkey breast, and then I stood up. Wait, I said. Everyone looked at me. I pulled out my pocket watch, the one Essara had given me. I opened it. I set it on the table. Before we eat, I said, I want to make a toast. I raised my glass of bourbon. The room was silent. To family, I said. And to the people who love us enough to protect us. I looked at Derek. He was sweating. Read. Let me finish, I said. I have something to say. Something that's been building for a year now. Derek's face went pale. I turned to the room. I want to tell you about my daughter. About what she's been going through. And about who's been doing it to her. Derek slammed his hand on the table. Frank, what the hell? I said. My voice was ice. You will sit down and you will listen. Or I will show these people the file. The one with the photos. The ones you thought no one would ever see. Derek's face drained completely. He sat down. The room was dead quiet. You could hear the clock ticking. I took out the shoebox. I opened it. And I rotted reading. 第一部分，切火鸡，火鸡端上桌像一座金色的王座，14磅重甜的鼠尾草和洋葱，外皮焦脆像秋天的落叶。我妻子玛莎从凌晨4点就开始烤那只鸟，我用她母亲的配方蜂蜜釉面，加上一小撮秘密的卡宴辣椒粉，离我切了42年的火鸡。今年，我的女婿德里克坚持要他来，让我来弗兰克。他说着拍了拍我的肩膀 ，So sing， 总是湿乎乎的，你该歇歇了。我早该知道不对劲的。从他嘴里说出歇歇这词的方式，德里克是个高个子6英尺2，也是大学橄榄球队员留下的底子。不过现在那肩膀上更多的是肥肉而不是肌肉。他穿着一件毛衣背心搭在衬衫外面，脚上是带流苏的棕色乐福鞋，那种踩在硬木地板上会直响的鞋。我女儿莎拉站在他旁边，她穿着那条蓝裙子，是她祖母在她10岁生日时亲手织的。莎拉很喜欢那条裙子，每年感恩节都穿，这是传统。但她的笑容没到眼睛里，我立刻注意到了。玛莎，我小声说，一边给自己倒了杯波本威士忌。莎拉没事吧？我妻子给了我一个眼神，那眼神的意识，现在别说。弗兰克别在饭桌上，所以我没再追问。餐厅里坐满了人，我儿子迈克尔和他妻子凯伦，他们的2个儿子9岁和11岁，已经在椅子上坐不住了。我姐姐帕特丽夏和她丈夫比尔，我的老调尤里奥和他妻子玛姬，一共13个人。屋子里弥漫着肉桂、黄油和烤肉的味道。德利克站在餐桌主位，手里拿着切肉刀，那把刀柄是蔷薇木的，是我祖父从旧国家带过来的。大家都准备好了吗？德里克说，他有一副推销员的嗓子，圆滑、自信，那种让你信服的声音，哪怕你的直觉告诉你不对劲。莎拉走近了一步，亲爱的，要不还是让爸放松。德里克打断他，我来就行。他把刀架在火鸡胸脯上，然后莎拉伸手去碰那大盘子。我不知道为什么，也许他是想稳住盘子，也许他只是紧张，也许他看到了德里克眼中的什么，而我坐的位置看不到。不管什么原因，他的手碰到了陶瓷盘子的边缘。德里克一个字没说，他推了他，不是推搡，不是轻推，是一记猛推。他的左手掌撞上了他的肩胛骨，整条胳膊的力量。我听到了手掌拍在他裙子上的闷响，听到了他急促的抽泣声，看到了他眼睛里纯然的震惊。莎拉整个人往前扑去，他的脸撞进了火鸡里，那只鸟从盘子上翻了下来，一肉只溅了一桌，白色陶瓷盘摔在地板上碎成了10几片，而莎拉的脑袋，他的头，径直砸进了那只金黄色的酥脆的火鸡里。他的鼻子裂开了，血涌进填料里，暗红色的河流混进了棕色的肉汁，整个房间都安静了。我是说真的安静，没人呼吸，没人动，连那2个男孩都停止了蹦跶。德里克低头看着他的妻子，他晕乎乎的双手捂着脸，血从指缝间渗出来，一颗泪珠滚落脸，在红色血污中画出一道干净的痕迹。莎拉，我说，但我动不了，我的腿冻住了，我的手紧抓着椅子扶手，一指关节都白了。玛莎开始站起来。哦，我的天，没事，德里克说，他说这话就像在点一杯咖啡。没事，他把莎拉拉起来，他脚不踉跄，裙子沾满了肉汁和火鸡油脂，头发上粘着碎填料。去清理一下，德里克对他说，我来处理。莎拉看着他，然后，这是我永远不会忘记的。他道了歉，对不起，他低声说，我不是故意把火鸡弄坏的。德里克笑了，露出一口白牙。意外总会发生的，宝贝，去吧。莎拉走出了餐厅，脚步不稳，她不得不扶着门框，一滴血落在硬木地板上，则像墨水一样黑。玛莎跟了上去，我能听见我妻子颤抖的声音。莎拉，莎拉宝贝，看着我。但我留在了餐桌旁，这桌旁没有一个人说话， 没有迈克尔，没有帕特丽莎，没有里奥，甚至包括我。我举起叉子，我把火鸡放进嘴里，嚼了下去。剩下的那顿饭是一片模糊，每个人都在说话，每个人都在笑。两个男孩在地板上扭打，直到迈克尔叫他们停下。帕特丽莎讲邻居家的狗刨了他牵牛花的故事，比尔抱怨他的前列腺，里奥拿他妻子的南瓜派开玩笑说，对我这年纪的男人来说太瓷实了，不普通的点。但我一直在观察德里克，我观察他做的每一件事。他伸手去拿土豆泥，越过他岳母的盘子，没说接过。莎拉清理完脸回来，他在鼻子上贴了块创可贴，他没看他，只说了句地下蔓越莓酱，他就地了，像条训练过的狗。我看着他的手在发抖，轻微的颤，那种永远在防备冲击的人才会有的样子。他在椅子上坐下，什么也没吃，只是用叉子拨弄着盘子里的食物。我看着玛莎，我妻子的脸色苍白，她不断看向莎拉，又看向德里克，再回到莎拉，她的下颌绷紧，太阳穴上的血管在跳动。我妻子知道些什么，而突然间，我愤怒了，不是对德里克，还不是，是对我自己。我坐在那儿，眼睁睁看着一个男人把我女儿撞进火鸡里，看着她流血，看着她若无其事地切那只备用的火鸡。而我什么都没做，我72岁了，我在越南打过的，养大了2个孩子，这栋房子是我用双手建的，而我冻结了。就在那一刻，我心里有什么东西变了，不是断裂，不是爆发，一个冷静而清晰的决断。我要查明真相，然后我来处理。饭后我去了车库，那里放着我的工具，我的工作台，还有我祖父的刀。趁德里克忙着给自己倒第2杯酒的时候，我已经把它拿回来了。我把刀握在手里，蔷薇木柄，钢刃锋利的可以刮胡子。我祖父在旧国家用过这把刀，他是个屠夫，一个懂得切割肉和切割活物之间区别的人。他教会了我2件事：第一，开工之前永远要磨好刀；第二，永远别让人看见你过来。我把刀放进工具箱锁好，然后走回了屋里。莎拉和德里克大约8点离开，我站在窗边看着德里克上了他的卡车，一辆崭新的黑色福 F150 陈柏然，那种一个男人用来证明什么的卡车。莎拉绕到副驾驶那边，打开门，爬了上去。德里克伸手过去做了什么？我看不清，但莎拉缩了一下。卡车开走了弗兰克。玛莎说，我转过身，我妻子站在厨房门口，手里攥着一条洗碗巾，她把它拧来拧去，每次兴奋时都这样。我们得谈谈，她说。不，我说，我得想想。我走过她身边，上楼进了卧室，关上门，我在床边坐下。很长一段时间我只是盯着墙壁，然后我打开床头柜抽屉，取出那只旧怀表，莎拉父亲接送我的那只，他攒了做保姆的零花钱买的，那时他12岁，表还在走。我打开后盖，里面贴着一张照片，莎拉在密歇根湖的码头上钓鱼，他10岁举着一条太阳鱼，像举着奖杯。我看着那张照片，我许下了一个承诺，我要查出德里克对我女儿做了什么，然后我要让他付出代价，不要警察，不要法庭，只要我。玛莎9点半敲了门，弗兰克，开门。我开了门，他还攥着那条洗碗巾，眼睛红红的告诉我。我说。他走进来，关上门，靠在门板上，像是需要支撑。我看到了些东西。他说，很小的东西。什么样的东西？他摇摇头。
淤青手臂上背上。
他想藏起来，7月还穿长袖，但我看到了。我的下颌绷紧了。多久了？6个月，也许更长。他让我别说，他说会好起来的。好起来了吗？玛莎的脸垮了。没有，更糟了。上个月他周2过来，而说摔了一跤，但他的眼睛肿着，青一块紫一块，我感觉房间在倾斜。他告诉你是摔的。他撒谎了，我让他撒谎了。我没追问。为什么不告诉我？玛莎无声地哭了起来。他求我别说，他说德里克会暴怒，他说他会变得更糟。多糟？玛莎看着我，那眼神里我看到了所有。3个月前，他低声说，他流产了，脚下的地板消失了。流产，他说是压力。但一声，他有疑问，他腹部有淤伤。莎拉告诉他们说是车祸。后来他在电话里告诉了我真相，哭得我都听不清他说话。我坐回床上，我的手在抖。我的小女孩，那曾经爬到我腿上让我给她讲天上故事的小女孩，那举着一条太阳鱼像举着奖杯的小女孩。弗兰克，玛莎说，我们该怎么办？我站起来，走到衣柜前，打开，取出那就塞，里面装着我越南的东西，勋章、照片，一面叠好的旗帜。旗子下面我还藏着别的东西，一把.38左轮手枪，史密斯威，我已经30年没碰过了。我拿了起来，弗兰克，我只是看看。我说，但我不是，我在想这有多容易，一颗子弹。嘿耶，德里克永远不会看到他来。我把枪放了回去，不是我改变了主意，是因为我知道那太快了，那是仁慈，而德里克不配得到仁慈。第2天早上5点我醒了，玛莎还在睡，我下楼煮了咖啡，黑咖啡不加糖，我喜欢的喝法。我坐在厨房桌边慢慢喝，太阳从松树后升起来，橙色、
金色，
那种平时会让我感到感恩的日出， 这早晨，我感到的只有觉醒。我需要一个计划。那我需要明白德里克到底是什么样的人。不是推销员，不是女婿，的是底下的那人。我穿上外套，穿上靴子走进车库。我的卡车是一辆2006年的雪佛兰希尔维拉多，20万英里，挡泥板上有锈，但发动机还很硬朗，像我一样，老了但还没完。我开车去了五金店。The Phil. Raw was behind the counter. Just like always, he saw me walk in and his eyebrows went up. Frank, back again. Got some questions about your roadhouse sighting. Raw set down his coffee mug. That woman. Crystal. I found out her full name. Small town, Frank. Everyone talks Crystal Morelli. She works the bar Wednesday through Sunday. Lives in that apartment complex behind the diner. I wrote it down on a napkin. Anything else? She's got a record. DUI. And she's been seen with Derek at the casino. They go together, more than once. I folded the napkin and put it in my pocket. Thanks, Evril. You're not going to do anything stupid. Are you? I didn't answer. I drove straight to the appartement complex. It was a rundown place, yellow siding, broken porch steps, a rusty swing set in the yard that no kid had touched in years. Crystal lived in Unit 12, second floor. I knocked. She opened the door, blonde. Maybe. We ring a tank top and cut off shorts. Her eyes in a rout when she saw me. Raw's father. I know who you are, Derek told me. Did he tell you about the bruises? She leaned against the doorframe. He said she was clumsy. Clumsy people don't end up in the ER with broken ribs. Something flickered in her face, not guilt, something else. I don't know anything about that. Look at me, Crystal. She looked. He's hit you too, hasn't he? She didn't answer. But her eyes told me everything. What did he do? She stepped back, not inviting me in, just creating distance. I don't want to get involved. He's going to keep doing it, to her, to you, to whoever gets in his way. Just leave me out of it. I reached into my pocket. I pulled out a business card. Leonard Card to this number. He's a lawyer. He'll help you. I don't want a lawyer. You might need one. I handed her the card. She took it, reluctant. If you change your mind, I've Cal. She closed the door without a word. I stood there for a moment. Then I walked back to my truck. Crystal was afraid that was fine. FAR could be useful. I had lunch at the diner, sat in a booth by the window, ordered coffee and a BLT. I wasn't hungry, but I needed to think. I spread the napkin out on the table, the one with Crystal's name on it. I read at it like it would give me answers. The waitress came over, middle-aged. Name tag said, Brenda, right? I looked up. Do I know you? Used to play bingo with your wife. She poured me more coffee. You look like a man rying a weight. Something like that. She nodded at the napkin. Crystal's a sweet kid. Got tangled up with the wrong man. You know her. We all know her. Small town, like I said. Brenda leaned in. Her ex-boyfriend was a bruiser too. She's got a pattern. A pattern. Attracted to the violent ones. She shrugged. Sometimes the good ones just don't make us feel alive. I thanked her and left. The pattern. That was something to work with. Ooh. I went to the library again. I spent 2 hours on the computer. I reached Crystal Morelli's name. Found her Facebook. Found her Instagram. Scrolled through rows of photos. And I found what I was looking for. A photo from 6 months ago. Derek and Crystal at a casino. His arm around her, she was laughing. He was looking at the camera. It was posted publicly. I printed it. Then I found another, 3 months ago. Same casino. Different night. And another 2 weeks ago. Derek's truck parked outside her apartment. The photo was blurry but the license plate was clear. CFRD. I printed all of them. Then I drove back to Raw's house. She opened the door. Her face was clean. No numerous relief washed through me. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. I need to show you something. I walked in. I laid the photos on her kitchen table. Her face went white. Where did you get these? I hire. He's been following Derek. Dead. You shouldn't have. I tapped the photos. This is your ticket out. This is proof of infidelity. In a divorce. This matters. I don't want a divorce. Raw, listen to me. I took her hands. They were cold. He's gonna kill you. I know that. The question is whether we do something about it before he does. She rooted, crying. I don't have the strength. I can't. You don't need strength. You just need a plan. What kind of plan? I sat her down. I told her about the second Thanksgiving, about the video camera, about the witnesses, about the way I was going to trap Derek in front of everyone. She listened. Her eyes got wider and wider. He'll explode, she whispered. That's the idea. He'll come at me. He always does. I'll be there. I won't let him touch you. She grabbed my arm. Her grip was strong. You can't stop him. He's twice your size. I'm not going to stop him with my fists. I'm going to stop him with the truth. What truth? I smiled. The truth about who he really is. I worked on the file for the next 3 days. Every bruise photo, every hospital record, every credit card statement showing the gambling debts, every eyewitness account of his violence, his affair with Crystal, the miscarriage. I organized it by date. I made copies. I put one set in a safe deposit box at the bank. Another set I kept in the garage, locked in my tool chest. The third set I held onto. I serried it in a leather folder. I was ready. The day before Thanksgiving, I got a call. It was Leona R. Frank. We have a problem. I don't like the sound of that. Crystal Morelli called me. She wants to talk, but she's CA red. CA red of what? Derek found out she talked to you. He came to her apartment, banged on her door, screamed at her through the wood. She didn't open it, but he broke her window. My stomach tightened. Is she okay? Shaken up. She's at a motel. I told her to stay there until I called you. The Hickory Inn, out on 41. I'm on my way. I found Crystal in room 17, curtains drawn. She was sitting on the bed, a bottle of water in her hands. Her knuckles were white. You came, she said. You called. I had to. She took a shaky breath. He's losing it. He smashed my window. He told me he would kill me if I told anyone anything. Did you tell anyone anything? Not yet, but I want to. Why the change of hearty? She looked at me. Her eyes were red. Because I saw her at the grocery store. She had a bruise on her neck. I saw her cover it with her hand like she was ashamed. Crystal put the water down. I've been there, she said. I know what it feels like to hide, to be embarrassed, to think it's your fault. It's not her fault. I know. It was never my fault either. But I didn't believe that for a long time. She wiped her eyes. I'll do it. I'll testify. Whatever you need. You'll have to tell the truth. About everything? No. The affair. The trips to the casino. Everything. She nodded. I want him to pay. I handed her a business card. This is my lawyer. Call him tomorrow. He'll be at the Thanksgiving dinner. He'll be there and you will be too. I drove home that night thinking about Crystal. She had been a victim too. Maybe not physically the way Essa Rahat, but she had been used, disrespected, threatened. She had made a choice. The right choice. Now it was my turn. Thanksgiving morning. I woke up at 4. Marutha was already in the kitchen. She was making the turkey. The backup turkey. The small one. The one she had always made as insurance. But this time, the insurance was different. Frank, she said. Are you ready? I said. But I'm going to do it anyway. She nodded. I've called everyone. They're all coming. Did you tell them why? No. I just said you had something important to Cherie. I kissed her forehead. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just make sure he never touches my daughter again. I will. The first guest arrived at 11. Patricia and then Michael and Karen and the boys. Then Leo and Mirage. Then the pastor. Then the neighbors. Then the off-duty police officers. By noon, the living room was full. 24 people. More than last year. I had made sure to invite everyone who could be a witness, everyone who mattered. Derek walked in at 12:15. He had his arm around Esra's shoulder. She looked nervous. Her smile was tight, but she was wearing the blue dress, the one from her grandmother. She looked beautiful. The boys ran up to her. Answer. She bent down to hug them. Her bracelets jingled. Derek watched her. His eyes were Frank, he said, shaking my hand. His grip was too tight, always too. Derek, glad you could make it. Wouldn't miss it. He looked around the room. His eyes narrowed when he saw the extra guests. Big crowd this year, he said. Lots to be thankful for, I said. He didn't respond. We sat down at the table. The turkey was in the center, golden, perfect. Derek took his place at the head. I stood up. Derek, I said. Not this year, he froze. This year I'm Irving. His face twitched. I think I should sit down. My voice was steel. He sat down. I picked up the carving knife, my grandfather's knife. The blade caught the light. I carved the turkey slowly. Perfect slices. The room was silent. I plated each piece, handed them out. Then I put the knife down. I have something to say, I said. Derek's jaw tightened. Frank, maybe we should eat first. No. I reached into my jacket. I pulled out the leather folder. I'm going to tell everyone here about my daughter, about what she's been going through, and about who has been doing it to her. Derek stood up. What the hell is this? Sit down, Derek. The off-duty officers stood up too, not aggressively, just watching. Derek looked at them. He looked at the room. Every face was fixed on him. Every eye was cold. He sat down. I opened the folder. I started reading. I read the dates of the bruises. I read the hospital records. I read the credit card debts. I read about the affair with Crystal Morelli. I read about the miscarriage. Derek's face went from red to purple to white. Frank, he said, you're lying. All of this is lies. You denying it. None of that happened. Then why did your credit card show charges at the casino on those dates? He opened his mouth, closed it. Why did Crystal Morelli give a sworn statement to my lawyer? Who the hell is Crystal Morelli? She's the cocktail waitress you've been seeing for the past 8 months. Derek looked at you going to let him do this to me? Sarah looked back. Her voice was quiet. I'm going to tell them the truth. Derek's face went pale. What truth? The truth about the night you threw me into the turkey. She stood up. She walked around the table. She stood beside me, and then she started talking. She talked about the first time he hit her, a slap in the kitchen. She had burned his eggs. He backhanded her so hard she hit the refrigerator. She talked about the second time, a shove down the stairs. She had bruises on her back for 3 weeks. She talked about the miscarriage. The night he got angry because she asked him to come home rye. He kicked her in the stomach. She was 12 weeks pregnant. The room was dead silent. You could hear the boys breathing. They had stopped bouncing. They were staring at Derek with wide eyes. Derek tried to interrupt. She's lying. She's got mental problems. Shut your mouth, I said. He shut his mouth. Sarah kept going. She talked about the threats. He'd told her he would kill her if she left. He told her he would kill me. He told her he would kill Mamrath. He would burn the house down. He would make sure she died. Why didn't you leave? Patricia asked. Raste. Because I believed him. He's a menace, Leo muttered. I know. He's dangerous? I know. We should call the police. The off-duty officer stepped forward. I've been listening. I have probable cause to arrest. Derek's face went white. Arrest me for what? Domestic battery. Aggravated assault. Death threats. That's crazy. The officer walked over to him. He pulled out handcuffs. I'm placing you under arrest. Derek stood up. His chair flipped over. Don't touch me. The other officer stepped in. They grabbed Derek's arms. He struggled. She's my wife. She belongs to me. No one belongs to you, I said. They cuffed him. He was screaming as they dragged him out. I'll kill you! I'll kill all of you! The door slammed shut, and just like that, the room was quiet. I looked at Sarah. She was crying, but she was smiling. Dad, she said. You did it. No, I said. We did it. I took her hand. We did it together. Leonard showed up 2 hours later. He brought a stack of papers. This is a temporary protective order. You'll need to file for the permanent one on Monday. Sarah, I'll do it. Leonard also handed her the divorce papers. I filed these with the court this morning. You don't need to be married to him anymore. Sarah took them. Her hands were shaking. Thank you, she whispered. We sat in the living room. Everyone was there, the family, the friends. We ate the turkey. It was cold by then, but no one saw red. I looked around at my family, at my daughter, at my wife, and I realized something. I had done what I had set out to do. Derek was in jail. He would face trial. He would go to prison. But more than that, I had gotten Sarah free. I had gotten my daughter back. After everyone left, Arthur and I were alone. We sat on the porch watching the sunset. The sky was orange and gold. Marutha said, What you did today? I did what any father would do. She shook her head. Not any father. You stayed calm. You planned. You exited. You didn't let your anger take over. I wanted to kill him, I said. I wanted to put a bullet in his head. But you didn't. No, I didn't. Why? I thought about it. Because that would have been too easy. He needed to suffer the way Sarah suffered. Slowly, in front of everyone. Amara squeezed my hand. I'm proud of you, Frank. I looked at her. I'm proud of us. 2 weeks later, Derek was formally charged. 6 counts of domestic battery, 4 counts of aggravated assault, 1 count of terroristic threats. The DA told me it was one of the strongest cases he'd ever seen. Between Sarah's testimony, Crystal's testimony, the photographic evidence, and the video footage from the grandfather clock, it was airtight. Derek's lawyer tried to plead regain, tried to reduce the charges, tried to blame Sarah. It didn't work. The judge was a woman. She had seen cases like this before. She had no patience for excuses. Derek got 12 years. The day of the sentencing, I sat in the courtroom. Sarah, she was holding my hand. Her grip was strong. Derek was in an orange jumpsuit. His face was hollow. He hadn't shaved in weeks. The salesman's charm was gone. The judge read the verdict. Derek was let out. He looked at Sarah on his way out. His eyes were dead. This isn't over, he said. The bailiff shoved him. Move. He moved. I watched him go, and I felt nothing. No hate, no anger, just peace. That night, I went back to the garage. I opened my tool chest. I took out my grandfather's knife. I held it in my hands, and I put it back, because I didn't need it anymore. The real weapon had always been the truth, and the truth had won. Sarah moved back home. She and Aretha spent weeks talking, crying, healing. She got a therapist, a good one. She went 3 times a week, and slowly, she started to smile again, real smiles. The kind I hadn't seen in years. One night, she came out to the garage. I was sharpening some tools, just busy work, kept my hands occupied. Dad, she said. I looked up. Thank you. For what? For everything. I put down the file. I almost didn't do it, I said. I almost let him get away with it. I froze that first Thanksgiving. I just sat there and watched. You didn't freeze the second time. No, but I almost did. The FAR, it's real. I understand now why you couldn't leave. It wasn't weakness, it was survival. She sat down on the stool beside me. I didn't think I'd ever get out, she said. I thought I'd be trapped forever. Traps can be broken only if someone helps you see the way out. I didn't say anything. I just put my arm around her, and we sat there in the GA rage silent, for a long time. I think a lot about that moment, about the turkey, about the blood, about the CA. That was the moment everything changed. A man shoved my daughter into a turkey and kept carving like nothing happened. That was the moment I realized who he really was. That was the moment I decided to take back my family. Sometimes you have to fight for the people you love. Not with fists, not with guns. With patience, with strategy, with truth. And you have to let them see you coming. So they understand there's no escape. I'm an old man now, 73. My hands aren't as steady as they used to be. But my Harati is full, Ra is thriving. She met a good man, kind, gentle. No salesman's voice, Maritha is happy. The boys are regrowing, and Derek, he's where he belay Ross, thinking about what he lost. He didn't know what he was dealing with when he hurt my daughter. A father's love is a dangerous thing. It doesn't break, it doesn't forget, it plans, and it wins. So if you ever see a man raising his hand to a woman, remember my story, remember the turkey, remember the blood, and say something. Because silence is what keeps them strong. It takes a voice to break the cycle. Watch the whole story unfold in our next video. Subscribe, Shiri, comment below. Tell us what you would have done. And remember, justice isn't always loud. Sometimes it's sea of slow, like a Thanksgiving turkey. THEE 第二部分卷宗厄尔像往常一样站在柜台后面。他看到我进来，眉毛扬了起来。弗兰克又来了。关于你在路边酒馆看到的那女人，我有些问题。厄尔放下咖啡杯。那女人，克里斯特尔，我查到了她的全名。怎么查到的？小镇嘛，弗兰克，大家都会聊。克里斯特尔莫雷利，她每周3到周日在酒吧上班，立住在餐馆后面那栋公寓楼里。我把名字写在餐巾纸上。还有别的吗？她有案底，2年前，而且有人看到她和德里克一起去过赌场。他们一起去不止一次。我把餐巾纸折好放进口袋。谢了，厄尔。弗兰克。你不会做什么蠢是吧？我没回答，我直接开车去了那栋公寓楼。那是个破旧的地方，黄色墙板，门廊台阶坏了，院子里生锈的秋千架，好几年没有孩子碰过了。克里斯特尔住在12单元2楼。我敲了门，他开了门，金发，大概30岁，穿着背心和短裤。看到我时，他眯起眼睛。你是弗兰克，莎拉的父亲。我知道你是谁，德里克跟我说过。他跟你说过淤青的事吗？他靠在门框上。他说他笨手笨脚的人不会肋骨骨折进急诊室。他脸上闪过一丝什么，不是愧疚是别的。我什么都不知道。看着我，克里斯特尔。他看了，他也打过你，是不是？他没回答，但他的眼神告诉了我一切。他对你做了什么？他后退一步，不是邀请我进去，只是在拉开距离。我不想卷进去。他会继续做下去的，对他，对你，对任何挡他路的人。别把我扯进来。我伸手进口袋掏出一张名片，我伦纳德的名片，打着电话。他是律师，他会帮你的。我不需要律师，你可能需要。我把名片递给他，他接了过去，不情愿地。如果你改变主意了。我说打电话，他一句话没说，关上了门。我在那儿站了一会儿，然后走回卡车。克里斯特尔在害怕，没关系。恐惧有时候是有用的。我在餐馆吃了午饭，坐在靠窗的点了咖啡和培根生菜番茄三明治。我不饿，但我需要思考。我把餐巾纸铺在桌上，就是写着克里斯特尔名字的那张。我盯着他，好像他能给我答案。女服务员走过来，中年，胸牌上写着布伦达。弗兰克对吧？我抬头。我认识你吗？以前跟你妻子一起玩过宾果，他给我续了咖啡。你看起来像心里压着事。恰多，他朝餐巾纸点了点头。克里斯特尔是个好姑娘，跟错了人。你认识她？我们都认识她，小镇嘛。就像我说的，布伦达凑近了些，她前男友也是个暴力狂。他有着模式，容易被暴力的人吸引。他耸耸肩，有时候好人就是没法让我们觉得活着。我谢了，他离开了。模式，那是可以用的东西。我又去了图书馆，我在电脑前待了2个小时，搜索克里斯特尔莫雷利的名字，找到了他的脸书，他的照片墙，翻了好几年的照片，我找到了我要的东西。6个月前的一张照片，德里克和克里斯特尔在赌场，他搂着他，他在笑，他在看镜头，公开发布的，我打印了出来。然后又找到一张3个月前，同一对情侣，同一家赌场。我不同的夜晚，在一张2周前，德里克的卡车停在他公寓外面，照片模糊但车牌清晰。我把它们全打印了，然后开车去了沙拉架。他开了门，脸上干干净净。我心里一块石头落了地。爸，怎么了？没事，我给你看点东西。我走进去，把照片摊在他厨房桌上，他的脸刷地白了。你从哪儿拿到的？我雇了人，一直在跟踪德里克。爸，你不 gay。 我必须这么做。我敲了敲照片，这是你离开的通行证，这是出轨的证据。离婚的时候，这很重要。我不想离婚。莎拉听我说，我握住她的手冰凉。他会杀了你的，你知道，我知道。问题是我们是否在他动手之前做些什么？他开始流泪，无声的眼泪。我没有那力气。我不能，你不需要力气，你只需要一个计划。什么计划？我让他坐下，告诉他关于第二个感恩节的事，关于摄像机，关于证人，关于我要当着所有人的面设局让德里克自扑。他听着眼睛越睁越大，他会爆炸的。他低声说，那正是我想要的。他会冲我来，他一直都这样。我会在那儿，我不会让他碰你。他抓住我的胳膊，抓得很紧。爸，你拦不住他，他比你大1倍。我不是用拳头拦他，我是用真相。什么真相？我笑了。关于他到底是谁的真相。接下来3天我都在整理卷宗，每一张舆情照片，每一份医院记录，每一份显示赌债的信用卡账单，每一份他暴力的目击证词，他和克里斯特的婚外情，那次流产我按时间排序。副本，一份放进银行的保险箱，另一份放在车库里，锁在工具箱里，第3份我随身带着，装在一个批文件夹里。我准备好了。感恩节前一天，我接到了一个电话，是伦纳德打来的。弗兰克，有个问题。我不喜欢这听起来的感觉。克里斯特·莫雷利给我打了电话，他想谈谈，但他很害怕。害怕什么？德里克发现他跟你谈过话了。他去了他公寓，砸他的门，隔着门板对他大吼，他没开门，但他砸碎了他的窗户。我微一紧，他还好吗？受了惊吓，他现在在汽车旅馆。我让他待在那儿等我给你打电话。在哪？胡桃木旅馆，在41号公路边上。我这就过去。我在17号房间找到了克里斯特尔，窗帘拉着，他坐在床上，手里拿着一瓶水，指节发白。你来了，他说。你打电话了。我不得不打。他吸了口气，他在发抖，他快疯了。他砸了我的窗户。他说如果我告诉任何人，他就杀了我。你跟任何人说了吗？还没有，但我想说。为什么改变主意了？他看着我，眼睛红红的。因为我看到了他莎拉在杂货店，他脖子上有块淤青，我看到他用手遮住他，像是觉得羞耻。克里斯特尔放下水，我也经历过。他说，我知道那是什么感觉。
多长？
难为情，觉得是自己的错，不是他的错。我知道，那从来也不是我的错，但我花了很长时间才相信。他擦了擦眼睛，我会做的。我会作证，你需要什么我都做。你必须说实话。关于所有事。我知道。婚外情，去赌场，所有事。他点头。我要他付出代价。我递给他一张名片，这是我律师的电话，明天打给他。他会在感恩节晚餐上吗？他会在，你也会。那天晚上开车回家时，我想着克里斯特尔，他也是受害者，也许不像莎拉那样身体上的，但他被利用了，被侮辱了，也被威胁了，他做出了选择。正确的选择，现在轮到我了。感恩节的早晨，我4点醒来，玛莎已经在厨房了，她在烤火鸡，那只备用的小的，她总是做来以防万一的那只，但这一次防的不一样。弗兰克，他说，你准备好了吗？没有。我说，但我还是要做。他点了点。我给所有人都打了电话，他们都会来。你告诉他们为什么了吗？没有，我只说你有些重要的事要分享。我吻了他的额头。谢谢你。别谢我。只要确保他再也别碰我女儿。我会的。第一个客人11点到了，帕特丽夏和比尔，然后是迈克尔、凯伦和孩子们，然后是里奥和马吉，然后是牧师，然后是邻居，然后是那2位休班的警察。到中午时，客厅已经满了，24个人，比去年多。我确保邀请了所有能当证人的人，所有重要的人。德里克12点15分走进来，他搂着莎拉的肩膀，他看起来很紧张，笑容很犟，但他穿着那条蓝裙子，他祖母的那条，他看起来很漂亮。男孩子们跑向他，莎拉阿姨，莎拉阿姨，他弯下腰拥抱他们，手叮当作响。德里克看着他，眼神很硬。弗兰克，他握着我的手说，握得太近了，总是太紧。德里克，很高兴你能来，不会错过的。他环视房间，看到额外的客人时眯起了眼睛。今年人很多啊，他说，有很多值得感恩的事。我说，他没接话。我们在桌边坐下，火鸡在正中间，金黄色的完美。德里克走到主位，我站了起来。德里克，我说，今年不行。他僵住了。什么？今年我来切。他的脸抽搐了一下。弗兰克，我想我应该坐下。我的声音像钢铁。他坐下了。我拿起切肉刀，我祖父的刀，人反射的光。我慢慢地切着火鸡，薄薄的，我完美的薄片。房间里一片安静。我把每片分到盘子里递出去，然后我放下了刀。我有话要说。我说德里克的下颌绷紧了。弗兰克，也许我们应该先吃饭。不，
我伸手进外套，
掏出那批文件夹。我要告诉在座每一个人关于我女儿的事，关于她一直经历的事，以及是谁对她做了这些。德里克站了起来。这他妈是怎么回事？坐下，德里克。那2位休班警察也站了起来，而不是挑衅，只是在看着。德里克看看他们，看看房间，每一张脸都盯着他，每一双眼睛都是冷的。他坐下了。我打开文件夹，我开始念。我念了淤青的日期，我念了医院的记录，我念了信用卡的债务，我念了与克里斯特尔·莫雷利的婚外情，我念了那次流产。德里克的脸色从红刀子到白。弗兰克，他说，你在撒谎，这些全是假的。你否认吗？那些都没发生过。那你信用卡上那些赌场的消费记录是怎么回事？他张了张嘴又闭上了。为什么克里斯特尔·莫雷利给我的律师做了宣誓证词？克里斯特尔·莫雷利是谁？你过去8个月一直在见的鸡尾酒女招待。德里克看向莎拉。你就让他这样对我？莎拉回看着他，他的声音很轻。我要告诉他们真相。德里克的脸白了。什么真相？你把我撞进火机那晚的真相。他站了起来。他绕过桌子站在我身边，然后他开始说话。他说了第一次他打他的事，厨房里的一记耳光，他把他的鸡蛋煎糊了，他反手一巴掌把他打得撞上冰箱。他说了第2次把他推下楼梯，他背上淤青了3个星期。他说了那次流产，那晚他因为他求他早点回家而发怒，踢了他的肚子。他当时怀孕12周，房间死一般静，你能听到2个男孩的呼吸声，他们已经不蹦跶了。他们睁大眼睛盯着德里克。德里克试图打断，他在撒谎，他有精神问题。闭嘴！我说他闭嘴了。莎拉继续说，他说了那些威胁，他告诉过他如果离开就杀了他，他告诉他他会杀了我，他告诉他他会杀了玛莎，他会烧了这栋房子，他会确保他死。你为什么不离开？帕特丽夏问。莎拉哭了。因为我害怕，因为我相信他，他是个威胁。里奥低声说，我知道，他很危险。我知道，我们应该报警。那位休班警察走上前，我一直在听，我有合理理由逮捕。德里克的脸白了。逮捕我什么？家庭暴力严重伤害罪，死亡威胁。太荒唐了。警察走到他面前，掏出手铐。我现在逮捕你。德里克站起来，椅子翻倒在地。别碰我。另一名警察也上前，他们抓住德里克的胳膊。他挣扎着，她是我妻子，她属于我，谁也不属于你。我说，他们给他戴上了手铐。他被拖出去时还在尖叫，我会杀了你们，我会把你们全杀了。门砰地关上了。就这样，房间里安静了。我看着莎拉，她在哭，但她在笑吧。她说，你做到了。不。我说，是我们做到了。我握住她的手，我们一起做到的。2小时后，伦娜得到了，她带来了一叠文件，这是临时保护令。周一你需要去申请永久的。莎拉点头，我会的。伦娜的还递给她离婚文件，我今天早上已经向法院提交了。你不再需要做他的妻子了。莎拉接过去，手在发抖。谢谢。他低声说，我们坐在客厅里，所有人都在。家人朋友们，我们吃了火鸡，已经凉了，但没人在乎。我看着我的家人，我的女儿，我的妻子，我意识到了一件事，我做到了我决心要做的事。德里克在监狱里，他会面临审判，他会进监狱，但更重要的是，我让莎拉自由了。我把女儿找回来了。所有人走后，我和玛莎单独在一起，我们坐在门廊上看着日落，天空是橙色和金色的。弗兰克，玛莎说，你今天做的事，我做了任何一个父亲都会做的事。不，他摇头，不是任何一个父亲，是你。你保持冷静，你计划了，你执行了，你没让愤怒控制你。我想杀了他。我说，我想在他脑袋里开一枪，但你没有。对，我没有。
为什么？我想了想。
因为那太容易了，太快了，他需要像莎拉那样受苦，慢慢的。当着所有人的面，玛莎握紧了我的手。我为你骄傲，弗兰克。我看着他，我为我们骄傲。2周后，德里克被正式起诉，6项家庭暴力，4项严重伤害，1项恐怖威胁。地方检察官告诉我，这是他见过的最强的案件之一。莎拉的证词，克里斯特尔的证词，照片据，还有祖父钟里的录像，铁证如山。德里克的律师试图认罪协商，试图减刑，试图把责任推给莎拉。没用。法官是位女性，她见过太多这样的案子，她对借口没有耐性。德里克被判了12年。宣判那天，我坐在法庭里。莎拉在我身边握着我的手，握得很紧。德里克穿着橙色囚服，面容枯槁，好几周没刮胡子了，推销员的魅力荡然无存。法官宣读了判，德里克被带出去。他出去时看了莎拉一眼，眼神是死的。还没完，他说。法警推了他一把，走。他走了，我看着他离开，我什么感觉都没有，没有恨，没有愤怒，只有平静。那天晚上我回到车库，打开工具箱，拿出祖父的刀，握在手里，然后放了回去。 因为我不再需要它了。真正的武器从来都是真相。真相赢了，莎拉搬回了家。她和玛莎花了数周时间交谈。哭泣疗愈，她找了心理医生，很好的那种，她每周去3次。慢慢地，她重新开始笑了，真正的笑，那种我好几年没见过的笑。一天晚上，她来到车库，我正在磨一些工具，只是找事做，让手别闲着吧。她说，
我抬头，谢谢你。
谢什么？所有的一切。我放下了锉刀，我差点没做。我说，我差点让他逍遥法外。第一个感恩节我僵住了，我只是坐在那儿看着。第二次你没有僵住，没有，但我差点。那种恐惧是真的。我现在明白你为什么离不开他了，而不是软弱，是生存。他在我旁边的凳子上坐下，我以为我永远出不来了。他说，我以为我会永远被困住，陷阱可以打破，只有有人帮你看到出路才行。我没说话，只是搂住他，我们就那样坐在车库里，沉默了很久。我常常想起那一刻，关于火鸡，关于血，关于切肉，那是所有事情开始改变的时刻。一个男人把我女儿撞进火鸡里，然后像什么都没发生一样继续切。那是那一刻我意识到他到底是谁，那是那一刻我决定夺回我的家人。有时候你必须为你爱的人而战，不是用拳头，不是用枪，是用耐心，用策略，用真相。而有时候你必须让他们看到你来了，这样他们才会明白无处可逃。我现在是个老人了，73岁，我的手不如以前稳了，但我的心是满的。莎拉活得很好，她遇到了一个好男人，善良、温和，没有推销员的声音。玛莎很开心，孩子们在长大。德里克呢？他在他该在的地方。铁栏后面想着他失去了什么。他伤害我女儿的时候，也不知道自己在面对什么。If 爱是危险的东西，他不会碎，不会忘，他会计划，而且他会赢。2. 所以如果你看到有人向女人举起手，记住我的故事，记住那只火鸡。Dear Gatehet she. The courtroom emptied fast after the sentencing. Reporters rushed out to file their stories. The bailiff led Derek away through the side door. His mother was crying in the front row. She had come all the way from Ohio. She didn't look at me. She didn't look at anyone. Sarah stayed seated beside. Her grip on my hand hadn't loosened. Her knuckles were white. Dade, she whispered. It's over. I looked at her. Her face was pale, but her eyes were clear. The first time I had seen them clear in years. I said. But even as I said it, something didn't sit right. Derek's last words echoed in my head. This isn't over. I had heard that tone before, in Vietnam. It was the voice of a man who had nothing left to lose. A man who had been cornered and was ready to take everyone down with him. I squeezed Sarah's hand. Let's go home. We drove back in silence. Mirusa was waiting on the porch. She had stayed home. She couldn't be to watch the sentencing. She ran down the steps when she saw the truck. She hugged Sarah so tight I thought she might crack her ribs. Maritha said, It's finally done. Sarah nodded. He's going away for a long time. We went inside. The house felt different. Lighter, the shadows seemed shorter. The air felt cleaner. Michael and Kay Wren came over with the boys. Patricia and Bill showed up with a casserole. Leo brought a bottle of whiskey. We sat in the living room, talked, laughed. For the first time in a year. The laughter was real. The boys played on the floor. Sarah sat, helping them build a Lego tower. She was smiling, a real smile. I watched her and felt something I hadn't felt in months. Hope. But hope doesn't erase everything. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed next to Steve ring at the ceiling. The clock on the nightstand ticked 2 a.m., 4 a.m. Derek's voice kept playing in my head. This isn't over. I got up at 5, dressed in the Duroc, went down to the G-Rage. I unlocked my tool chest. I took out the file, the original one, not the cut. The one with every piece of evidence I had collected. I read through it again. And again, something was bothering me, a missing piece. Something I had overlooked. I spread the photos across my workbench. Bruises, hospital record, credit, CAR statements, casino receipts. Then I found it. The hospital records had a detail I had skipped over. One of the ER visits, 3 months before the first Thanksgiving, Sarah had gone to the hospital for abdominal pain. The record said she had been treated for a blunt force trauma to the lower abdomen, but the doctor's notes said something else. Patient stated she fell downstairs. Inconsistencies in bruise patterns suggest alternate mechanism. Suspect non-accidental trauma. Non-accidental trauma. I knew what that meant. The doctor had suspected abuse, but Sarah hadn't pressed charges. She had probably begged the doctor not to report it, but the doctor had reported it anyway. That was the law. And yet nothing had happened. No investigation, no follow-up. Why? I looked at the doctor's name. A woman. She would have been required to file a report with Child Protective Services. If Sarah was pregnant at the time, it would have fallen under their jurisdiction. But Sarah wasn't a child, she was an adult. Adults can refuse to press charges. But a doctor's report would have triggered something. A social worker visit, a police interview. None of that had happened. Which meant someone had killed the report. Who? I called Leon RD at 7 in the morning. Frank, he said, his voice was groggy. Sorry, but I need you to check something. I told him about the doctor's notes, about the missing investigation, about the report that never triggered a follow-up. Leonard was quiet for a long time. Frank, he said, that's serious. If that report was buried, someone helped him, someone with access to the system. Ooh, I'll make some calls. Give me a day! You have until noon. Frank, I'm not waiting. I drove to the hospital. It was a small place, county hospital, the kind that served the whole region. I walked in through the main entrance. The receptionist looked up. Can I help you? I need to speak with someone about medical records. Which? ER. 3 months before last Thanksgiving. She frowned. You need to fill out a form. I don't have time for a form. Sir, it's policy. I leaned on the counter. My daughter was abused. The doctor suspected it. She filed a report. That report never went anywhere. I need to know why. The receptionist's face changed. She had seen victims before. She knew the signs. Wet here, she said. She read into the back. 20 minutes later, I was in a small office. A woman in a white coat sat across from me. Her name badge said De Helen Chen. She looked tired, deep circles under her eyes, but her gaze was You're Esra's father, she said. Yes, I remember her. She paused. I remember the bruises, the inconsistency in her story, the way she flinched when I touched her abdomen. You filed a report, she nodded. I did. It was my legal obligation. What happened to it? Chen leaned back in her chair. I filed it with the county. The social worker assigned to the case was named Marga Rhett Holloway. I followed up a week later. She told me the case was closed. Apparently, Esra had refused to cooperate. The social worker said the accusations were unfounded. But they weren't unfounded. I know. Chen's jaw tightened. I pushed back. I wrote a second letter. I demanded a revaluation. The social worker never responded. Did you report her? She shook her head. By the time I realized what had happened, I was told Marga Rhett Holloway was no longer with the county. Where did she go? I don't know. Her position was terminated. No explanation. Someone buried that report, Dr. Chen. Someone wanted it to disappear. She looked at me with sad eyes. I know. I suspected it at the time. But I couldn't prove anything. Can you get me a copy of that report? She hesitated. Patient confidentiality. She's my daughter. She'll sign whatever release you need. Chen thought for a moment. Then she nodded. I'll make a copy. But I'll need her signature first. Done. I went straight to Esra's house. She was in the backyard, weeding the jurd. She had dirt on her hands and a streak of soil across her cheek. She looked content at peace. She stood up, brushing her hands. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. But I need your help. I explained about Dr. Chen, about the report, about the missing investigation. Esra's face. I knew something was off, she said. The social worker came to the house. She talked to me, but she was very dismissive. She told me I was overreacting, that Derek was a respected member of the community, that I should think about his reputation. She said that, word for word. She told me to be a better wife. I was so ashamed. I believed her. I thought maybe I was the problem. You weren't the problem. I know that now. She wiped her eyes. But back then I was so lost. I thought everyone was against me. I thought no one would believe me. Will you sign the release? She nodded. Give me a pen. I took the signed release back to the hospital. Dr. Chen made the copies. She handed me a thick envelope. Everything is in there, she said. The original report, my follow-up letters, the social worker's denial. Do you know where Marga Rhett Holloway ended up? Dr. Chen hesitated. I heard a rumor. She works for a private firm now. Something called Family Intervention Services. It's a consulting company. Do you have an address? She wrote it on a sticky note. BC Refool. Frank, people who bury reports don't like being exposed. I'm counting on it. Family Intervention Services was located in a strip mall. The sign was faded. The windows were dirty. It didn't look like the kind of place that handled serious cases. It looked like a front. I walked in. A woman sat behind a desk, middle-aged, blonde. She was filing her nails. She didn't look up when I entered. Help you. I'm Marga Rhett Holloway. She looked up, her eyes around. Frank Griffin. I'm here about a case you handled 2 years ago. I don't handle cases anymore. Esra Griffin. Domestic abuse. You closed the case without a proper investigation. Her face went stiff. I don't know what you're talking about. I put the envelope on her desk. I have the records, the original report from Dr. Chen, your denial letter, the follow-up requests that you ignored. She didn't touch the envelope. You need to leave. Tell me why you buried that report. You're trespassing. You were paid off, weren't you? Her eyes flicked away, just for a second. But it was enough. Who paid you? I'm calling security. Answer me, or I'm going to the local news. I'm going to tell them about Marga Rhett Holloway, the social worker who let a woman get beaten for 2 more years because someone paid her to look the other way. She froze. Her hand was on the phone, but she didn't pick it up. Who? I asked again. Derek's mother, she whispered. Alma. Alma came to me. She said her son was going through a rough patch. She said Sarah was unstable. She said it was a misunderstanding. How much? 5,000. And you took it, she stated, crying. I needed the money. My husband was sick. I had bills. That didn't matter to Sarah. She was bleeding inside. She lost a baby because of that man. And you helped him get away with it. She put her head in her hands. I'm sorry, she said. I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't fix it. I picked up the envelope. I walked out. Ooh. I called Leonard from the parking lot. It was Alma, I said, Derek's mother. She paid off the social worker. Leonard was silent for a moment. That's obstruction of justice. It's also bribery and conspiracy. I know. What are you going to do? I looked at the strip mall, at the faded sign, at the dirty windows. I'm going to send her to prison with her son. The next morning, I went to the DA's office. I had the files. I had the evidence. I had the confession from Marga Rhett Holloway on a recording I had made with my phone. The DA man named Roald Vance looked at everything. This is a mess, he said. No, I said, this is a solution. Alma Griffin is an old woman. She's not a threat. She protected her son. She let him keep beating his wife. She knew exactly what he was doing, and she helped him hide it. Vance leaned back. Even if I charge her, it's not going to be a big sentence. She's elderly. She'll get probation. Then give her probation, but give it to her publicly. Let everyone know what she did. Vance considered it. I'll issue a warrant, he said. But I'm telling you, this isn't going to be the justice you're looking for. I'm not looking for justice, I said. I'm looking for accountability. Alma was arrested 2 days later. She was at her house in Ohio. She didn't resist. She was photographed in handcuffs. The local newspaper ran the story. Mother of convicted abuser arrested for obstruction of justice. Sarah saw the headline. She called me. Dad, she said. You did that. Alma helped. She paid off the social worker. She knew he was hurting you and she covered it up. I didn't know. Now you do. She was quiet for a long time. I thought she loved me, she said. I thought I was pa-rod of the family. She made her choice. Sarah said. It's so hard to realize that people you trusted were never on your side. I didn't have an answer for that. I just stayed on the phone and listened to her cry. Alma was sentenced to 3 years of probation, community service, a fine of $20,000. Marga Rhett Holloway lost her license. She was charged with bribery. She faced a year in county jail. I felt a sense of calm wash over me. Not satisfaction, not victory, calm. The calm that comes when you've done what needs to be done. But Derek wasn't done. I got a letter from the prison. It was short, typewritten. Frank, you think you've won, but you haven't. I'm still breathing, and when I get out, I'll find you. I'll find all of you. I showed it to Leonard. This is a threat, Leonard said. I can report this to the prison authorities. It could extend his sentence. Do it. But even as I said it, I knew the truth. Derek wasn't going to stop. He was a man consumed by hatred, a man who would never accept defeat. I had to prepare for the inevitable. I stayed going to the shooting range. Twice a week, I fired 100 rounds each session. The .38 I had kept in my closet. The one I hadn't touched in 30 years. I wasn't a good shot anymore. My hands shook. My eyes were failing. But I was consistent. I could hit a target at 20 feet. That was enough. Marutha said one night, "What are you doing?" Preparing. Preparing for what? For the worst. She looked at me with sad eyes. You can't live like this. I can't live any other way. Sarah noticed too. I came over to her house one Sunday. She was in the kitchen making tea. She looked at me and frowned. Dade, you look different. Different how? I didn't answer. She put the teapot down. Derek's in prison. He's not coming back for a long time. You don't have to keep fighting. Les, I do. I looked at her, because I made a promise. I promised you I would protect you. And I'm not going to break that promise. Dade, you don't have to. I took her hands. I watched him hurt you. I watched you bleed into a turkey. I sat there and I did nothing. I'm never going to do nothing again. Not for as long as I live. She stay. I don't want to lose you, Dad. You're not going to lose me. I'm right here. But you're always on guard. You're always waiting for something bad to happen. Because something bad is always going to happen. That's the world. But I'll be ready. That night, I went home and sat in the G-Rage. I held my grandfather's knife in my hands. I didn't know why. Maybe I needed to feel the weight of it. Maybe I needed to remember where I came from. I thought about my father, and his father. And all the men in my family who had fought for what they loved. I was no different. I was just an old man with a knife and a grudge. But that was enough. Weeks passed. Rotted dating again. A man. He worked at the Array store. He was quite gentle. He had a soft voice and kind eyes. I liked him. Martha liked him. Even the boys liked him. Ross stay rooted, smiling again. Reels. the kind that lit up her whole face. I watched her blossom and I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace, but the peace didn't last. 3 months after the sentencing, I got another letter. This one was handwritten. Derek's sloppy scrawl, Frank, I made a friend in here, a man with connection. He says he can get me out raw parole, good behavior. I'll be out in 3 hours. You'd better be ready, D. I read the letter 3 times, then I burned it. I sat in the GA rage and thought about what to do. Leonard had reported the first threat. The prison had opened an investigation, but nothing had come of it. Derek was a model inmate, no infractions, no violence. He was playing the game. He knew the rules. He knew how to behave to get what he wanted. 3 years, that was the timeline. 3 years to prepare. I started planning not for revenge, not for confrontation, for protection. I had the house redundant, new locks, security cameras, motion sensor lights. I installed a safe room in the basement, a concrete room with a steel door, and Marata thought I was being paranoid. You're a good man, Frank, she said, but this is too much. It's not enough. Everyone thinks you're crazy. Let them. Paul helped. He was a quiet man, but he was strong. He worked with me on the house. He never asked why. He just showed up and helped. One night he came over after dinner. Frank, he said, can I talk to you? We sat on the porch. The fireflies were out. The summer air was warm.
I love Sarah.
I want to marry her. My heart stopped, but my face stayed calm. She's been through a lot, I said. I know. I'm not going to rush her. I'm going to let her heal. You don't mind the skiers? I don't see skiers. I see a woman who survived. I looked at him, really looked at him. He wasn't like Derek. He wasn't a salesman. He didn't have a pitch. He just loved her. Sarah's my daughter, I said. If you ever hurt her, I know. You'll come for me. No, I said. I won't come for you. He looked confused. Because if you hurt her, I said, I'll make sure you never hurt anyone again. But I won't have to. Because you're not that man. I held out my hand. He shook it. Sarah and Paul got a ride in the backyard. I cried. Even the boys cried. It was a small ceremony. Just family and close friends. Sarah wore a white dress, simple, beautiful. She looked like her mother had at our wedding. I danced with her, her hand in mine. We swayed to an old song, I'm happy. Dad, she said, I know, baby girl. Are you proud of me? Every single day. She rested her head on my shoulder. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for everything. But the threat was still out there. 3 hours passed faster than I expected. I kept my routine, the shooting range, the security measures, the vigilance. Older, my knees started to hurt. My eyesight got worse. But I stayed sharp. I had to. The day Derek was released, I was standing on my porch. I knew the date. I had my rocket on the calendar. Rita came out. She stood beside me. Hell come,
She said.
What will we do? I didn't answer, because I already knew. I had a plan, and this time, it wasn't about evidence or lawyers or judges. This time, it was about me. 3 days later, Derek showed up at my house. I was in the G. I hear the truck pull into the driveway. I hear the engine cut off. I hear the door open and close. He walked into the G rage. He looked different, thinnerish, red. His eyes were hollow. His face was ski red with prison tattoos. Frank, he said, Deck, you knew I was coming. I knew. He stepped closer. He was holding something in his hand. A knife not as nice as my grandfather's. Where's a Sarah? Not here. I stood up. My hands were steady. My he was calm. She's not here, Derek. She's safe. Sending me to prison wasn't enough. Was it you had to take my mother too? Your mother made her choices. She's old. She didn't deserve that. She deserved everything she got. And so do you. Derek's face twisted. I'm not going to prison again. Yes. No. He shook his head. You think you're so smart. You think you won. But you're just an old man. And old men die. He lunged. I was ready. I sidestepped. My body moved automatically. Years of training, years of anticipation, years of planning. The knife slashed the air where I had been standing. I grabbed his arm. I said. He howled in pain. The knife clattered to the floor. I pinned him against the workbench. His face was pressed against the cold metal. You're done, I said. You'll never. Done. I pulled out my phone. I had called the police before he arrived. They were already on their way. I heard the sirens in the distance. Derek's eyes went wide. You set me up. I prepared. The police arrested him. He was charged with attempted murder. P.A. Possession of a deadly weapon. He wasn't getting out again. Not for a long time, maybe never. I watched them lead him away, and I felt nothing. Just the calm of a job finished. I went back inside. Marisa was in the kitchen. She was crying. It's over, I said. Yes. She hugged me. We held each other for a long time. That night I sat in the GA rage. I looked at my grandfather's knife. I picked it up. I held it for a long time. Then I put it back in the tool chest. I locked the chest, and I walked away. Because I had done what I set out to do. My daughter was safe. My family was whole, and Derek was nothing. Sometimes the best revenge is the truth. but the best revenge is just being ready. For the fight you knew was coming. For the moment you knew would arrive. For the man you knew would never stop. I was ready, and that was enough, too. When you have someone you love, you protect them not with rage, with preparation, with wisdom. With the quiet certainty that you will do whatever it takes, even if it takes years, even if it costs you everything. Because in the end, family is all we have. And I was willing to lose everything to keep mine. If this story moved you, subscribe to our channel. Share your own story in the comments. Tell us what you would have done, and remember, love is not soft. Love is steel and steel wins. THEEND 第3幕崩解，宣判后法庭很快就空了，记者们冲出去发稿，法警把德里克从侧门带走了。他的母亲坐在第一排哭，他大老远从俄赶来，没有看我，也没有看任何人。莎拉坐在我旁边，她的手还紧握着我的手，指节发白。爸，他低声说，结束了。我看着他，他脸色苍白但眼神清澈，多年来第一次这么清澈。结束了，我说，但即使说出口，我还是觉得哪里不对。德里克最后那句话在我脑海里回响，还没完，我听过那种语气。那是一个已经没什么可失去的人的声音，一个被逼到绝境，准备把所有人一起拖下水的人。我握紧莎拉的手，回家吧。我们沉默地开车回去，玛莎在门廊上等着他没去，他受不了看炫，看到卡车时他跑下台阶，紧紧抱住莎拉，紧得像是要把他的肋骨勒断。结束了，玛莎说，终于结束了。莎拉点头，他要关很久了。我们进了屋，房子感觉不一样了，影更轻快了，阴影似乎变短，空气也更干净了。迈克尔和凯伦带着孩子来了，帕特丽夏和比尔带了砂锅菜来，里奥带了拼威士忌。我们坐在客厅里聊天大笑，1年来第一次笑声是真的。男孩们在地板上玩，莎拉跟他们坐在一起，帮他们搭了高塔，他在笑，真正的笑。我看着这一切，心里涌起一种好久没感觉过的东西，希望但希望不能抹去一切。那天晚上我睡不着，我躺在玛莎旁边盯着天花板，床头柜上的钟在滴答作响。凌晨2点、3点、4点，德里克的声音一直在脑海里循环。还没完，5点起床，摸着黑穿好衣服下楼去了车库。我打开工具箱，拿出卷宗，原始的不是副本，我收集的全部证据。我一遍又一遍地翻，一遍又一遍，有东西困扰着我，一块缺失的碎片，我忽略了什么？我把照片摊在工作台上淤青，医院记录、信用卡账单、赌场收据，然后我找到了。医院记录里有一个细节我跳过去了。第一个感恩节前3个月，莎拉因腹痛去了医院，记录说她是因为下腹部钝器伤接受治疗，但医生的记录里写了别的。患者自称摔下楼梯，与伤模式存在不一致，提示其他机制，疑似非意外创伤。非意外创伤，我知道那是什么意思。但莎拉没有提告，她大概求过医生不要上报，但医生还是上报了，那是法律规定。然而什么都没发生，没有调查，没有跟进，为什么？我看了看医生的名字，陈海伦医生，女性，按规定她必须向儿童保护服务机构提交报告。如果莎拉当时怀孕了，那就属于他们的管辖范围。但莎拉不是儿童，她是成年人，成年人可以拒绝提告，但医生的报告应该会触发某些程序。社工拜访，警方问话，这些都没有发生，这意味着有人压下了报告。谁？早上7点我给伦纳德打了电话，弗兰克，他的声音还很困。这么早？
抱歉，
但我需要你查件事。我把医生的记录、失踪的调查、Nefren 从未触发后续的报告告诉了他。伦纳德沉默了很久。弗兰克，他说，这很严重。我知道，如果 Nefren 报告被压下了，有人帮了他，有权限接触系统的人。谁？我打几个电话，给我1天。你到中午为止。弗兰克，我不等了。我开车去了医院，那是个小地方县医院，服务整个区域的。我从正门走进去，前台接待员抬起，有什么可以帮您的？我需要找负责人谈医疗记录的事。哪科室？急诊室。去年感恩节前3个月。他皱起眉头，您需要填表。我没时间填表，先生，这是规定。我靠在柜台上，我女儿被家暴了，医生有怀疑。他提交了报告，那份报告石沉大海。我要知道为什么。接待员的表情变了，他见过受害者，他认得那些迹象，在这儿等着。他说，他进了后门。20分钟后，我坐在一间小办公室里，一个穿白大褂的女人坐在我对面，胸牌上写着陈海伦医生。她看起来很疲惫，眼窝深陷，但眼神犀利。你是莎拉的父亲？他说，对，我记得他。他顿了顿，我记得那些淤青，他叙述中的矛盾，我触碰他腹部时他退缩的样子。你提交了报告？他点头，是的，那是我的法律义务。报告后来怎么了？陈医生靠回椅背，我提交给了县里。负责案件的社工叫玛格丽特·霍洛维，1周后我跟进。他告诉我说案子已经结案了。 结案，据说莎拉拒绝配合，社工说指控没有依据，但那些指控不是没有依据的。我知道，陈医生的下颌绷紧，我反驳了，我写了第二封信，要求重新评估，社工没有回应。你举报他了吗？
他摇头，我没有。
等我意识到发生了什么，我被告知玛格丽特·霍洛维已经不在县里了。他去哪了？我不知道，他被解雇了，没有解释。有人压了那份报告，陈医生，有人想让这件事消失。他用悲伤的眼神看着我，我知道，我当时就怀疑了，但我没有证据。你能给我一份那报告的副本吗？他犹豫了一下，患者隐私，她是我女儿，她会签任何你需要的授权书。陈医生想了想，然后点头，我复印一份，但我需要他先签字。没问题，我直接去了莎拉家，她在后院除草，手上沾着泥，脸颊上有一道涂印，她看起来心满意足，平和安详。爸，他站起身拍了拍手。怎么了？
没什么。
但我需要你帮忙。我解释了陈医生那份报告，那场失踪的调查。莎拉的脸色暗了下来，我就知道不对劲。他说，那社工来过家里跟我谈过，但他非常轻描淡写。他说我反应过度了，说德里克是社区里受尊敬的人，说我要考虑他的声誉。他这么说，原话。他让我做个更好的妻子，让我羞愧极了。我相信了他，我以为是自己的问题。你不是问题，我现在知道了。他擦了擦眼睛，但那时候我以为所有人都针对我，以为没人会相信我。你签授权书吗？他点头。给我笔，我把签好字的授权书拿回医院，陈医生复印了。他递给我一个厚厚的信封，都在里面了。他说，原始报告，我的跟进信，社工的否认函。你知道玛格丽特·霍洛维去哪了吗？陈医生迟疑了一下，我听到传闻，他现在在一家私人机构，这叫家庭干预服务，是一家咨询公司。你有地址吗？他写在便利贴上，小心点，弗兰克，那些压下报告的人不喜欢被曝光。我指望的就是这。家庭干预服务，在一条商业街里，招牌褪了色，窗户很脏，看起来不像处理严肃案件的地方，像是掩护。我走了进去，一个女人坐在桌后，中年金发，正在修指甲。我进来时她没抬头。有事？玛格丽特·霍洛维。她抬起头，眯起眼睛。你是谁？弗兰克·格里芬。我来问一件你2年前处理的案子。我不处理案子了。但你处理过。莎拉·格里芬，家暴案。你没有经过适当调查就结案了。他的脸色僵硬。我不知道你在说什么。我把信封放在他桌上。我有记录陈医生的原始报告，你的否认信，你忽略的跟进请求。他没有碰信封。你需要离开。告诉我，你为什么压下那份报告？你在非法入侵。你收钱了，对吧？他的目光闪开了，只是一瞬间。谈够了，谁付你的？我叫保安啊。回答我，否则我去找本地新闻，告诉他们社工玛格丽特·霍洛维因为收了钱而对一个女人的挨打视而不见，让他又被打骂了2年。他僵住了，他的手放在电话上，但没有拿起来。谁？我在问。德里克的母亲。他低声道，阿尔玛。阿尔玛来找我，他说他儿子正经历困难期，说莎拉情绪不稳定，说那是误会。
多少钱？5000。
你收了。他开始哭。我需要钱，我丈夫病了，我有账单。这对莎拉来说不重要，她身体里在流血。她因为那男人失去了一个孩子，而你帮她逃脱了。她把头埋进手里，对不起。她说，我很抱歉。抱歉解决不了问题。我拿起信封走了出去。我在停车场给伦纳德打了电话，是阿尔玛。我说，德里克的母亲，她贿赂了社工。伦纳德沉默了一会儿。那是妨碍司法。我知道。也是贿赂和共谋。我知道。你打算怎么办？我看着那商业街，看着褪色的招牌，看着肮脏的窗户。我要把他和他儿子一起送进监狱。第二天早上，我去找地方检察官，我有文件，还有我用手机录下来的玛格丽特·霍洛维的录音口供。地方检察官哈罗德·万斯看了所有材料，这很混乱。他说，不。我说，这是解决方案。阿尔玛·格里芬是个老妇人，她不是威胁，她包庇他儿子，她让他继续打他妻子，她完全知道他在做什么。他帮他掩盖了。万斯往后靠了靠。即使我起诉他，也不会判重刑。
他年纪大了，很可能是缓刑。
那就判他缓刑，但要公开，我让所有人都知道他做了什么。万斯考虑了一下，我会签逮捕令。他说，但我告诉你，这不是你想要的正义。我要的不是正义。我说，我要的是追责。阿尔玛2天后被捕。他在俄亥俄的家里没有抵抗，他被拍下了戴手铐的照片，本地报纸登了新闻。被判刑时抱着之母因妨碍司法被捕。莎拉看到了标题，打来电话吧。他说，那是你做的。阿尔玛帮了他。 他会录了社工，他知道他在伤害你，他替他掩盖了。我不知道。现在你知道了。他沉默了很久，我以为他爱我。他说，我以为我是他们家的一份子。他做了他的选择。好难受，莎拉说，意识到你信任的人从来没站在你这边。好难受，我没法回答，只是留在线上听着他哭。阿尔玛被判3年缓刑社区服务，2万美元。玛格丽特·霍洛维被吊销执照，被控受贿，面临现监狱1年刑期。我感到一股平静涌遍全身，不是满足，不是胜利，平静。做完该做的事后到来的平静。但德里克还没完，我收到了一封来自监狱的信，很短，打字的弗兰克，你以为你赢了，但你没有，我还活着，等我出去，我会找到你，我会找到你们所有人。德里克，我把信给伦纳德看，这是威胁。伦纳德说，我可以报告给监狱当局，这可能会延长他的刑期，那就做。但即使说出来，我也知道真相，德里克不会听，他是一个被仇恨吞噬的人，永远不会接受失败。我必须为必然的事做好准备。我开始去靶场，每周2次，每次打100发，那把放在衣柜里的点3把，30年没碰过的 bat。我不再是好射手了，手在抖，的眼睛不行了，但我稳定，20英尺外能击中目标够了。弗兰克，伊万玛莎说，
你在做什么？
准备什么？最坏的，他用悲伤的眼神看着我，你不能这样活着。我没法用别的方式活。莎拉也注意到了，一个星期天我去了他家，他在厨房泡茶，他看着我说，爸，你变了。哪里变了？疲惫，坚硬。我没回答爸，他放下茶壶。德里克在监狱里，他很久不会回来，你不用一直战斗。我要。为什么？我看着他，因为我许下了承诺，我答应过我会保护你，我不会违背那承诺。爸，不用。莎拉，我握住他的手，我看着他伤害你，看着你血流到火机里，我坐在那里什么也没做，我再也不会什么都不做了。只要我活着，绝不会。他开始哭了，我不想失去你。爸，你不会失去我，我就在这儿，但你总是警觉着，你总在等坏事发生，因为坏事总会发生，世界就是这样，但我会准备好的。那晚我回家，坐在车库里，我把祖父的刀握在手里，不知道是为什么，也许我需要感受它的重量，也许我需要记住我从哪里来。我想到了我父亲，他父亲，还有我家族里所有为所爱而战的男人，我和他们一样，只是个拿着一把刀和一份执念的老头，但那已经够了。数周过去了，莎拉又开始约会了，一个叫保罗的男人，在五金店工作，安静温柔，声音轻柔，眼神和善。我喜欢他，玛莎喜欢他，连孩子们都喜欢他。而莎拉又开始笑了，真正的笑，那种照亮整张脸的笑。我看着他绽放，心里涌起许久没有的感觉，平静，但平静没有持续。宣判3个月，我收到了另一封信，手写的，德里克潦草的笔记。弗兰克，我在这里交了个朋友，一个有门路的人，他说可以帮我提前或是假释，表现良好，3年后我就能出来。你最好做好准备，德里克。我看了3遍，然后烧了它。我坐在车库里思考对策。伦纳德报告了第一次威胁，监狱展开了调，但没有任何结果。德里克是模范囚犯，没有违纪，没有暴力。URTHESC. The day Derek got out, I was already awake. I hadn't slept. Not really. I lay in bed next to Monorath. Stay ring at the ceiling, counting the hours. The digital clock on the nightstand glowed red. 3:44, At 5 I got up, made coffee black. Sat in the kitchen and waited. Mur found me there at 6. He's out, she said. It wasn't a question. Released at midnight. Did you call the police? No. I called Leon R.D. He's got a copy of the protective order. He's got the new evidence from the prison threats. He's ready. Ready for what? I looked at her. Ready for whatever happens. She sat down across from me, her hands wrapped around her coffee mug. She was trembling. You're not going to do anything stupid, are you? I'm going to protect my family. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I have. The sun came up. I went through my morning routine, shower, shave, dressed in jeans and a flannel shirt, practical clothes I could move in. I checked the house, every lock, every wing, every camera feed on the monitor in the bedroom closet. Everything was secure. I went to the garage. I opened the tool chest. The 38 was there, loaded. I had taken it to the range twice a week for 3 ARs. I could draw it in under 2 seconds. I could shoot a T-Reg at 20 feet without thinking. I put the gun in my waistband, covered it with my shirt. Then I took out my grandfather's knife. I held it for a moment. The weight was familiar, comfortable. I put it in my jacket pocket, just in case. Essara called 8 Dade, she said. You heard what? Paul told me he saw the news. Derek's out. Don't worry. Don't worry, Ra. Listen to me. I kept my voice calm. I've been preparing for this for 3 ARs. Every single day. I knew this day would come. Dad, please. Stay inside today. Keep the doors locked. Don't open them for anyone. I'll come by later. Dade, trust me. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, I trust you. Good. I'll see you soon. I hung up and walked to the window. The street was quiet. The neighbors were still asleep. The paperboy hadn't come yet. But something was different. I didn't recognize. PA rocked at the end of the block. A DR case interior. The driver was sitting behind the wheel. Just waiting. I didn't panic. I watched. 5 minutes passed. The CR didn't move. The driver didn't get out. I grabbed my binoculars. I focused on the license plate. Out-of-state Ohio plates. Derek had been released in Ohio. He had come from Ohio. I felt a cold calm settle over me. He was here. I walked out the front door. I didn't sneak. I didn't hide. I walked down the driveway like I was taking a morning stroll. The driver's door of the sedan opened. Derek stepped out. He was thinner than I remembered. His face was gaunt. His hair was cropped short, prison short. He was wearing a leather jacket and jeans. He looked like a man who had spent 3 years in a cage. He looked like a man who had nothing to lose. Frank, he said. He was smiling, but the smile didn't reach his eyes. Nice morning, he said, for a walk. It's a nice morning for a lot of things. He walked toward me, slow, deliberate. You look good, he said. Old, but good. You look like hell, he laughed. It was a hollow sound. 3 years in prison will do that. You brought your CAR. I brought a lot of things. We stood there in the middle of the street. RT. The sun was rising behind him. His shadow stretched long and thin across the asphalt. Where's Sarah? He asked. Way. She's not here. She moved after you went in. His face twitched. Moved where? I'm not telling you. He took a step closer. I've had 3 years to think about you. 3 years to imagine this moment. And I'm not going to hurt you. I didn't believe him. Why not? Because that would be too quick. He smiled again, that same hollow smile. I'm going to make you watch, he said. I'm going to find Sarah and I'm going to make you watch. Something shifted in me. Not fear, not anger, something colder. Let me tell you something, Derek, I said. You think you're the predator here. You think because you're younger and bigger and meaner, you have the advantage. I do have the advantage. I shook my head. You're the prey. You just don't know it yet. His smile. What are you talking about? I've been planning for this day for 3 years. Every possible scene, every move you could make. You're not a threat to me. You're a problem I'm about to solve. You're crazy. I pulled the .38 from my waistband. I held it at my side, not pointing at him, just letting him see it. I'm prepper red. Derek's eyes went wide. He stepped back. His hand went to his jacket. Derek, I said, don't. He stopped. Put the knife on the ground slow. His hand emerged from his jacket. He was holding a hunting knife. The blade was long serrated. He dropped it on the pavement. Kick it over. He kicked it. It skittered across the asphalt and stopped at my feet. Now get in your CAR and leave. Leave, or I'll shoot you where you stand. I'll tell the police you came to my house with a knife and threatened my family. Given your history, they'll believe me. He looked at me. I saw the calculations happening behind his eyes. He knew I was right. You won't do it, he said. Try me. He stared at me for a long moment. Then he shook his head. This isn't over. I know it isn't. But you're not going to win. He walked back to his CR. He opened the driver's door. You can't protect her forever, he said. I only have to protect her until you're dead. And I'm planning to outlive you. He got in, the engine rated. He drove away. I watched the sedan disappear around the corner. Then I put the gun back in my waistband and went inside. TC May Rutha was standing at the window. I saw everything, she said. I know. He's not going to stop. No, he's not. What are we going to do? I sat down at the kitchen table. My hands were steady. My Hirati was calm. Exactly what I planned, I said. I called Liana Arhe came to the house. Are you okay? I'm fine. He's gone. For now. We can file another police report. He violated the protective order. Listen to me. I kept my voice low. I know this is going to sound extreme, but I need you to do something for me. What? I need you to find out where Derek is staying. Just find the address. That's all I need. Leonard was quiet for a moment. Then he sighed. I'll see what I can do. 2 hours later, Leonard called back. He's staying at a motel on Highway 41. Room 14. Thanks, Frank. What are you going to do? I'm going to finish this. I drove to the motel. It was a rundown place, 10 rooms. Faded sign, vacant lot next door. Perfect for someone who didn't want to be found. I paraded across the street. I waited. At noon, Derek came out of his room. He was in a duffel bag. He got in his CAR and drove away. I followed him. He drove to a diner. He had lunch alone. He sat in a booth. Ring at his phone. He looked frustrated. He looked lost. He was looking for Sarah. He wouldn't find her. She was in a safe house. Paul had taken her there the night before Derek was released. I knew she was safe, but Derek didn't. He drove to a BR after lunch. Spent 2 hours there, drank alone. Read at the television. I watched from my truck across the street. At 4, he drove back to the motel. He was drunk. He stumbled out of his car. He dropped his key. He couldn't find them for a minute. He swore loudly. I watched him go into his room, and I knew this was the moment. I waited until Diriki at 10. I got out of my truck. I crossed the street. I walked to room 14. The light was on. I could see his shadow moving behind the curtain. I knocked. Who's there? His voice was slurred. Housekeeping. Oh, sir. The manager asked me to check. The door swung open. Derek stood there. He was shirtless. His chest was covered in prison tattoos. His eyes were red. Frank. I'm not here to fight, Derek. Then what are you here for? To offer you a deal. He let me in. The room was a disaster. Clothes everywhere, empty bottles. Fast food. What kind of deal? He asked. I sat down on the only chair. He sat on the bed. He was swaying. I know you want, and I know you want to hurt me. But neither of those things is going to happen. Then why are you here? To give you a choice. He squinted at me. What choice? You can keep doing what you're doing. Keep drinking, keep assessing, keep threatening, and eventually, you'll make a mistake, and I'll be there when you do. Or you can walk away. Walk away. Leave this town. Leave the state. Stay over somewhere else. There are other women, other lives. You don't have to be this. He laughed. That's your deal. Just leave. That's my deal. You think I'm just going to give up? I think you're going to realize that you can't win. And when you realize that, you'll either destroy yourself or you'll save yourself. I'm giving you the option to save yourself. He stared at me. You really think you've won? He said. I know I have, but winning isn't the point. The point is that you're still breathing. And I'm offering you a chance to keep breathing, somewhere else, away from my family. You're lying. I've never lied to you. Derek, you're the liar. You're the one who pretended to be a good husband. Who pretended to love my daughter while you were beating her. Shut up. All I'm offering is a way out. Take it or don't. But if you don't, I'll be ready. He stood up. His fists were clenched. I could kill you right now. You could try. He lunged. I was ready. I stepped aside. He stumbled past me drunk. Rudinated. I grabbed the back of his neck and slammed his face into the wall. He went down. I pulled the .38. I pressed it against the back of his head. Don't move. He didn't. You're going to leave this room in the morning, I said. You're going to get in your car and you're going to drive. You're not going to come back. If I ever see you again, I won't run you. I'll just shoot. You don't have the guts. Try me. I put the gun away. I walked to the door. Sleep well, I said. Tomorrow you stared over. I left. I drove home. Murutha was waiting up. She saw the look on my face. Did you hurt him? No. Did you kill him? No. What did you do? I sat down. I told her. She listened. When I finished, she was quiet. You offered him a chance, she said. Everyone deserves at least one chance. Did he take it? I don't know. That's up to him. The next morning, I drove back to the motel. The parking spot was empty. Room 14 was empty. Derek was gone. I walked into the office. The clerk looked up. Check out, he said. Did he leave a note? No. Just paid and left. Did he say where he was going? The clerk shook his head. He looked different this morning. Sober. Quiet. Asked for directions to the highway. That's all. That's all. I drove home. I didn't feel relief. Not exact. I felt something like acceptance. He was gone. But I knew he might come back. That was the thing about men like Derek. They didn't give up. They just regrouped. But I would be ready. I would always be ready. S.A. Ra called that afternoon date. Did you know Derek left town?
Yes.
How did you? She paused. What did you do? Nothing. I talked to him. I gave him a choice. He made it. She was quiet for a long time. I should be there, she said. I should have been there.
No, Ra.
You did exactly what you needed to do. You survived, baby girl. That's the most important thing. The rest is just details. I was an old man. My body was failing. My hands ached. My bones hurt. But my mind was shit. I had read for 3 years. I had planned every scene of Rio. And it had worked. Derek was gone. Not because I had killed him. Not because I had beaten him. Because I had been patient. Because I had been ready. But that night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Something told me it wasn't over. And I was right. 3 days later, I got a phone call. It was Liana Art. Frank, I have bad news.
What?
Derek was arrested. Arrested where? Nebraska. He was driving west speeding. The police pulled him over. There was a WUA ran out for his arrest. Violation of a protective order. So he's in jail. He's in a holding cell. They're going to transport him back here tomorrow. I felt a strange feeling. It wasn't relief. It wasn't disappointment. It was inevitability. Some people just can't be saved. Derek was one of them. He was transported back. I went to the courthouse. I watched the proceedings. Derek was in chains. His face was hollow. His eyes were dead. The judge read the charges. Violation of a protective order. Possession of a deadly weapon. Attempted stalking. It was a list of failures. A list of choices. I felt nothing for him. Not pity. Not anger. Just the cold certainty that he had done this to himself. The judge sentenced him to another 5 years. Mr. Griffin, she said, you have had more chances than most. You have squandered them all. I see no reason to be lenient. Derek didn't respond. He just stayed red at the floor. The bailiff let him out. He didn't look at me on his way past. He didn't look at anyone. I stood in the empty courtroom. Zvr came up beside me. She took my hand. It's over. Dad, she said. I looked at her. She was crying, but she was smiling. Finally, she said, it's finally over. I hugged her. I held her tight. I love you, I said. I love you too. Dad, we walked out together. That night I sat in the G-Rage. I looked at my grandfather's knife. I looked at the 38. I looked at the file. The one with all the evidence. The one I had built over 3 years. I had done everything I could. I had prepared. I had planned. I had executed, and it had worked. But I knew the truth. The victory wasn't mine. It was Sarah's. She had survived. She had broken free. She had kept walking. That was the real triumph. I put the knife back in the tool chest. I put the gun back in the safe. I closed the chest. I locked it. And I walked away, for the last time. The next day, I sat on the porch with Marat. The sun was warm. The birds were singing. The world was peaceful. I've been thinking, I said. About what? About everything. About Sarah. About the last 3 years. And I realized something. What? I was so focused on revenge that I almost missed what was important. What was important? Sarah's healing. Sarah's future. Marufa squeezed my hand. It's never too late to focus on that, she said. I started spending more time with Sarah. We went fishing, just like the old days. We sat on the pier at Lake Michigan with our poles in the water, not catching anything, just being together. Dad, she said. You know what I think? What? I think you saved my life. No, I said. You saved your own life. I just helped. You helped more than you know. I looked at the water. The sun was setting. The sky was orange and pink. I almost lost you, I said. I almost let him take you from me. But you didn't. I didn't. We sat there in silence. I am an old man. My daughter is free. My family is safe. Derek is behind me. And I finally feel at peace. Justice is not always loud. It doesn't always happen in a courtroom. Sometimes it happens in a garage, or in a motel room, or on a porch at sunset. Justice is the moment you decide to fight, and then the moment you let go. Because the fight isn't about winning. It's about protecting what you love. And I protected what I loved. If you've ever fought for someone you love, you know what I mean. The fiarger, the constant preparation, but also the peace. The peace that comes when you've done everything you could. And you've won. Subscribe to our channel for more stories of justice and survival. Share your story in the comments. Tell us what you would have done. And remember, sometimes the biggest victory is just being ready. Because being ready means you're never really defeated.第4幕，德里克出来的那天我已经醒了，我没睡，真的没睡。我躺在玛莎旁边盯着天花板数时间，床头柜上的数字时钟泛着红光。3:47、42、4:58。5点我起床煮了咖啡黑的，坐在厨房里等玛莎6点下来。她出来了，她说，那不是疑问句，午夜放的。你报警了吗？没有。弗兰克，我打给伦纳德了，他有保护令副本，还有监狱威胁的新证据。他准备好了。准备好什么？我看着他。我准备好面对任何事。他坐在我对面，双手捧着咖啡杯，在发抖。你不会做什么蠢事吧？我要保护我的家人。那不是回答，这是我唯一的回答。太阳升起来了，我做早上的例行。挖胡子，穿上牛仔裤和发蓝绒衬衫，实用的衣服，方便活动的衣服。我检查了房子，每把锁，每扇窗，卧室衣柜里监视器上的每条摄像头画面，一切都安全。我去了车库，打开工具箱，那把.38在里面。撒过的上烫的，3年来每周2次去靶场，2秒内能拔出来，20英尺外不用想就能击中目标。我把枪别在腰带上，用衬衫盖住，然后拿出祖父的刀，握了一会儿，那重量是熟悉的，安心的。我把它放进了夹克口袋。The 一方万一8点莎拉打来电话，爸。他说，我听说了。听说什么？保罗告诉我的，他看了新闻。德里克出来了。别担心。别担心，爸。莎拉听我说，我保持声音平静。这是我准备了3年每一天，我知道这天会来，我准备好了。爸，求你，今天待在屋里锁好门，谁叫都别开，我晚点过去。
爸，相信我。
他沉默了一会儿，然后说，我相信你。好，我很快来。 我挂了电话，走到窗边，街上很安静，邻居们还在睡，送报的还没来，但有东西不一样呢。一辆不认识的车停在街尾，深色轿车米色内饰，司机坐在里面只是等着。我没慌，我看着5分钟过去了，车没动，司机没下车。我拿起望远镜对轿车牌外州的俄亥俄州拍照。德里克是在俄亥俄州获释的，他从俄亥俄来的，一股冰冷的平静笼罩了我。他来了，我走出前门，没有偷偷摸摸，没有躲藏，我沿着车道走下去，像是在晨间散。那辆轿车驾驶座的门开了，德里克走了下来，他比我记忆中瘦了，脸颊凹陷，头发剃得很短，监狱里那种短，穿着皮夹克和牛仔裤，看起来像个在笼子里关了3年的人，看起来像个什么都不在乎的人。弗兰克，他说他在笑，但那笑容没到眼睛里。早晨不错，他说，适合散步，适合很多事的早晨。他朝我走来，慢悠悠的，带着意图，你气色不错。他说，老了，但不错。你看起来像地狱。他笑了，空荡荡的声音。3年监狱会这样的。你开了车，我带了不少东西。我们站在街道中间相距10英尺，太阳在他身后升起，他的影子在柏油路上拉得又长又瘦。沙拉在哪？他问。不在这。骗子。他不在这。你进去后他搬了。他的脸抽搐了一下。搬去哪了？我不告诉你。弗兰克。他走近一步。我花了3年时间想你，3年时间想象这一刻。然后呢？然后我不会伤害你。我不信他。为什么？因为那太快了。他又笑了，同样的空笑。我要让你看着。他说，我会找到沙拉。我要让你看着。我心里有什么东西变了，不是恐惧，不是愤怒，更冷的东西。德里克，我跟你说件事。我说，你以为你是捕食者，你以为因为你年轻高大狠毒，你就占了上风。我确实占了上风。不，我摇头，你才是猎物。你只是还不知道。他的笑容消失了。你在说什么？我准备了3年，每一种可能的情况，你每一步能做出的选择。你不是我的威胁，你是我即将解决的问题。
你疯了。
不，我从腰带里抽出点38，放在身侧，不是指向他，只是让他看见。我准备好了。德里克的眼睛睁大了，他后退一步，手伸向夹克。德里克，我说，别动。他停了，把刀放地上，慢慢来。他的手从夹克里伸出来，拿着一把猎刀，刀刃很长，而有锯齿。他把它丢在路面上。踢过来。他踢了过来，刀在沥青上划过，停在我脚边。现在上车离开。弗兰克，离开，否则我当场 K。我会告诉警察你带刀来我家威胁我的家人。以你的前科他们会信我。他看着我，我看到他脑子里在计算，他知道我说的对。你不会开枪的，他说。你试试。他盯着我看了好一会儿，然后摇头，还没完。我知道，但你不会赢。他走回车上，打开驾驶座的门。你不可能永远保护他，他说。我只需要保护到他死了为止，而我打算比你活得久。他上车，发动引擎，开走了。我看着那辆轿车消失在拐角，然后把枪放回腰带，进了屋。玛莎站在窗边，我都看到了。他说，我知道，他不会听的。对，他不会。那怎么办？我坐在厨房桌边，我的手很稳，心很平静，就按我计划的那样。
我说，我打给伦纳德。
他来过了。你还好吗？
我没事。
他走了，暂时。我们可以再报案。他违反了保护令。
伦纳德，
听我说。我压低声音。我知道这听起来很极端，但我需要你做件事。什么？帮我查到德里克住在哪。弗兰克，只要地址就行。伦纳德沉默了一会儿，然后叹了口气。我看看能做什么。2小时后伦纳德回电。他住在41号公路上的落日汽车旅馆，14号房。谢了。弗兰克，你打算做什么？
我来结束这件事。
我开车去了那家旅馆，那是个破地方10间房，招牌褪了色，隔壁是空地，正适合不想被发现的人。我把车停在街对面，等着中午。德里克从房里出来，提着一个行李袋，他上车开走了。我跟着他，他开去一家餐馆，一个人吃午饭，坐在卡座里盯着手机，看起来很沮丧，很迷失。他找不到他在安全屋里。而保罗在德里克获释前一晚就把他送去了。我知道他是安全的，但德里克不知道。午饭后他开车去了一家酒吧，待了2个小时，一个人喝闷酒，盯着电视。我坐在卡车里在对街看着。4点他离开，开车回了旅馆。他喝醉了，他踉跄着下车，钥匙掉了，找了半天找不到，大声骂着。我看着他进了房间，但我知道就是这一刻了。我等到天黑10点，我下了卡车，穿过街道走到14号房，灯亮着，我能看到他的影子在窗帘后晃动。谁？他的声音含糊。客房服务。问，先生，经理让我来检查。一门猛地开了，德里克站在那儿，没穿上衣，胸口满是监狱纹身，眼睛通红。弗兰克，我不是来打架的。 德里克，那你是来干嘛的？来给你一个选择。他让我进去了，房间一团糟，衣服到处扔，空瓶子，快餐包装纸，什么选择？他问我在唯一的椅子上坐下，他坐在床上，身子在晃。我知道你想要沙拉，我也知道你想伤害我，但那两件事都不会发生。那你来干嘛？给你一个选择。他眯眼，什么选择？你可以继续现在这样，继续喝酒，继续执迷，继续威胁，然后你总会犯错。我会在你犯错的时候等着你。或者你走，离开这镇子，离开这州，去别的地方重新开始。世界上还有别的女人，别的生活，你不必活成这样。他笑了，那就是你的选择。让我走，那就是我的选择。你以为我会轻易放弃？我觉得你会意识到你赢不了。当你意识到的时候，你要么毁掉自己，要么救自己。我给你个救自己的机会。他盯着我，你真的以为你赢了？他说，我知道我赢了，但赢不是重点，重点是你还在呼吸。我给你一个继续呼吸的机会。去别的地方，远离我的家人。你在撒谎，我从没对你撒谎，德里克。
你才撒谎，你假装是个好丈夫，
假装爱我的女儿，却在打她。闭嘴！我只是给你一条出路，接受或不接受。但如果你不接受，我随时准备好。他站起来，拳头握紧了。我现在就能杀了你，你可以试试。他扑了过来。我准备好了。我侧身一闪，他踉跄着从我身边冲过去，醉醺醺的不稳。我抓住他的后颈，把他的脸撞上了墙，他倒下了。我拔出点三把，顶在他的后脑勺上。别动。他没动。明早你离开这间房。我说，你上车开走，别再回来。如果我再见你，我不会警告你，我会直接开枪。你没那胆量，你试试。我把枪收起来，走到门口，睡个好觉。我说，明天你重新开始。我走了。我开车回家，玛莎在等着，看到我的表情。
你伤他了吗？
没有。你杀他了吗？没有。弗兰克，你做了什么？我坐下。俺告诉了他。他听着我说完后，他沉默了很久。你给了他一个机会。他说，每个人都至少该有一次机会。他接受了吗？我不知道，那取决于他自己。第二天早上，我开车回了旅馆，停车位空了，14号房空了，德里克走了。我走进办公室，店员抬起头。退房了。他说，他留了字条吗？没有，付了钱就走了。他说去哪了吗？店员摇头。他今早看起来不一样了，清醒了，很安静。我问了去高速公路的方向。就这些。我开车回家，我没有感到释然，不完全是，我感到一种近乎接受的情绪。他走了，但我知道他可能回来。德里克这种人就是这样，他们不会放弃，他们只是重新集结。但我会准备好的，我永远会准备好。莎拉下午打来电话，爸，你知道德里克离开镇子了吗？知道。
你怎么？他顿了顿。
爸，你做了什么？没什么。我跟他谈了。我给了他一个选择，他做了选择。他沉默了很久。我应该在的，他说。我应该在场的。不。莎拉，你做了你需要做的事。爸，你活下来了，宝贝，那才是最重要的。其他的都是细节。我是个老人了，身体在衰退，手疼骨头疼，但脑子还灵光。我准备了3年，计划了每一种可能，而且它起作用了。德里克走了，不是因为我杀了他，也不是因为我打败了他，因为我耐心了，因为我准备好了。但那晚我睡不着，我躺在床上盯着天花板，有东西告诉我还没完，我是对的。3天后我接到了一个电话，是伦纳德·弗兰克，坏消息。什么？德里克被捕了。在哪？内布拉斯加。他开车往西走，超速，警察拦了他，他有一张逮捕令，违反保护令，所以他在监狱里，在拘留室，他们要把他押回来。什么时候？明天。我有一种奇怪的感觉，你不是释然，不是失望，是必然。有些人就是救不了，德里克就是其中之一。他被押回来了，我去了法院，看程序。德里克戴着镣铐，面容枯槁，眼神空洞。法官宣读了指控：违反保护令，持有致命武器，企图跟踪。那是一长串失败，一长串选择。我对他什么感觉都没有，没有同情，没有愤怒，也只是冰冷地确定这些是他自己造成的。法官判了他另外5年。格里芬先生，他说，你已经比大多数人得到了更多机会，你全都挥霍了。我没有理由宽大处理。德里克没有回应，只是盯着地板。法警把他带走了。他经过我时没有看我，谁也没看。我站在空荡荡的法庭里，莎拉走到我身边，握住我的手。结束了吧？他说。我看着他在哭，但他笑了。终于，他说，终于结束了。我抱住他，紧紧抱住。我爱你。我说，我也爱你，爸。我们一起走了出去。那晚我坐在车库里，我看着祖父的刀，我看着那把点3把，我看着那份卷宗，3年积累的所有证据。 我做了我能做的一切，我准备了，计划了，执行了，而且它起作用了。但我知道真相，胜利不是我的，是莎拉的。他活下来了，他挣脱了，他一直往前走，那才是真正的胜利。我把刀放回工具箱，把枪放回保险柜，关上箱盖，锁好，然后走开了。最后一次。第二天，我和玛莎坐在门廊上，阳光温暖，鸟儿鸣唱，世界很安宁。我一直在想，
我说想什么？
所有事，德里克·莎拉。过去这3年，然后呢？我意识到一件事。什么？我太专注于复仇了，差点错过了真正重要的。重要的是什么？莎拉的疗愈，莎拉的幸福，莎拉的未来。玛莎握紧了我的手，关注那些永远不晚。她说，我开始花更多时间和莎拉在一起。我们去钓鱼，就像以前一样。我们坐在密歇根湖的码头上，把钓竿放进水里，什么也钓不到，只是在一起。爸，他说，
你知道我怎么想吗？
怎么想？我觉得你救了我的命。不，我说，是你救了你自己的命。我只是帮了一把。你帮的比你想象的多。我看着水面，太阳在下沉，天空是橙色和粉色的。我差点失去你。我说，我差点让他把你从我身边带走。但你没有。我没有。我们沉默地坐在那里。我是个老人了，我的女儿自由了，我的家人安全了。德里克在铁窗后。我终于感到平静了。正义不总是喧嚣的，它不总是发生在法庭上，有时它发生在车库里，或汽车旅馆房间里，或日落时的门廊上。正义是你决定战斗的那一刻，然后是你放手的那一刻，因为战斗不是为了赢，而是为了保护你所爱的。而我保护了我所爱的。如果你曾为所爱的人而战，你知道我的意，恐惧、愤怒，不断的准备，但也有平静，那种你做完了一切该做的时候的平静。然后你赢了。订阅我们的频道，获取更多关于正义和生存的故事，在评论区分享你的故事，会告诉我们你会怎么做。记住，有时最大的胜利只是准备好了，因为准备好了，意味着你永远不会真正被打败。RTFEVECARV Final. I woke up the morning after the sentencing feeling lighter than I had in years. The sun was coming through the curtains. Rortha was still asleep. I lay there for a while, just listening to her breathe, steady, peaceful. I got up and made coffee, black, no cigar, the same cup I had made every morning for 52 years. But this morning, it tasted different. It tasted like freedom. I walked out onto the porch. The neighborhood was quiet. The pines were swaying in the breeze. A blue jay was perched on the fence, watching me. I sat down in my old rocking chair, the one my father had built, the one I had fixed a dozen times over the years. I rocked, and I thought, 3 years of planning, 3 years of waiting for the worst to happen. And now it was over. Derek was in prison. He wasn't getting out. The judge had made that clear. 5 more years for the violation. And after that, the PA roll board would see his record, and they would keep him there as long as they could. He was done, but I wasn't done.
Not yet.
There was still one thing left to do. I went to the GA rage. I opened the tool chest. My grandfather's knife was lying there. The blade gleamed in the light. I picked it up. I turned it over in my hands. I thought about the first Thanksgiving, the way Derek had shoved SA raw into the turkey, the way her blood had mixed with the gravy, the way he had carved the backup bird like nothing had happened. I thought about the second Thanksgiving, the file, the video camera, the witnesses, the look on Derek's face when he realized he was trapped. I thought about the years after, the letters, the preparation. I had done all of that, and now I was going to finish it. I wrapped the knife in a cloth. I put it in a box. I drove to the post office. The clerk was a young man. He looked bored. Need to mail this, I said. Where to? I gave him the address. He looked at it. That's a prison. Wars prisoners can't receive packages. You know that, right? It's not for a prisoner. He frowned. Then who? His mother. Alma Griffin had been living in a small apartment in Ohio. After the trial, she had lost her house. The legal fees had drained her retirement. Her friends had abandoned her. She was alone. She was everything she had made herself. And she was about to get a package from me. The box contained a letter. The letter was handwritten. I had taken my time with it. I wanted to get every word right. Dar Almas, I don't hate you, I used to. But I don't have the energy for hate anymore. I know you loved your son. I know you wanted to protect him. But you protected him from the consequences of his actions, and in doing so, you helped him destroy my daughter's life. Sarah is healing. She's with a good man. She's happy. She's free. I wanted you to know that. I also wanted you to know that I have no desire to see you suffer. You've done enough of that to yourself, but I wanted you to understand what you did, not so you'd feel guilty, just so you'd know. The truth is something I've come to value more than revenge, and the truth is, you were not a bad person. You were a mother who made terrible choices, and now you're paying for them. I forgive you, not because you deserve it, but because holding on to the anger was destroying me. I'm sending you this letter because I want you to know that I'm done. I'm done fighting. I'm done with the FAR. I'm done with the hatred. I'm going to spend the rest of my life loving my family. And I'm going to let go of everything else. I hope you can do the same to Frank. I mailed the box. I didn't expect a response. I didn't want one. I just wanted to close the door. And that was what I did. I drove home. Aretha was in the garden. She was planting roses. She had dirt on her hands and a streak of soil across her cheek. Aretha, I said. She looked up. What did you do, Frank? To who? Alma. She stood up slowly. She wiped her hands on her apron. Why? Because I was done holding on to it. She looked at me for a long time. Then she nodded. Good, she said. That's good. I helped her finish planting the roses. We worked in the garden for the rest of the morning. The sun was warm, the dirt was soft, the flowers were blooming. I felt peaceful. Not the forced peace of pretending everything was fine. Real peace. The kind that comes from letting go. Ooh, that afternoon Sarah and Paul came over. Paul was ring a seoler. He had fresh fish from a morning trip out on the lake. Caught these for you, Frank, he said. I looked at the fish. They were bluegill. The same kind Sarah and I used to catch off the pier. Let's see okay them tonight, I said. We ate outside, grilled fish, corn on the cob, potato salad. The boys ran around the yaya. They were older now, 11 and 13. They had grown into strong, healthy young men. They didn't know about Derek, not the detail. We had protected them from that. But they knew Sarah had been through something hard. And they knew Paul had made her happy. That was enough. After dinner, we sat on the porch. The sun was setting. The sky was orange and pink and gold. The same sky I had been watching for 73 years, Sarah said. I need to tell you something. She took a deep breath. I've been thinking about what you did. All those years, all that planning. All that. I did what I had to do. She took my hand. But I need you to know something too. What? Forgive him. I stared at her. You forgive Derek. How can you? She smiled. A sad, gentle smile. Because holding on to the anger was destroying me. I was so scared for so long. And I realized that as long as I hated him, he still had power over me. He was still in my head. He was still controlling my life. She squeezed my hand. I don't want to be controlled by him anymore. I want to be free. And the only way to be free is to let go. I didn't know what to say. For so long, I had been consumed by anger, by the need for justice, by the need to see Derek punished. And my daughter had just shown me a different way. I don't know if I can do that, I said. She looked at me with her clear. You're the strongest person I know. If anyone can let go, it's you. I laughed. You were always the wise one. No, she said. I just had a good teacher. That night I sat in the garage. I opened the tool chest. The knife was gone. I had sent it to Alma. But the .38 was still there. I picked it up. I held it in my hands for a long time. Then I put it in the box. The same box I had used for the knife. I put the box in my truck. The next morning, I drove to the police station. Frank, the officer at the desk, said, "What can I do for you? I want to turn this in." I placed the box on the counter. He opened it. His eyes widened when he saw the gun. Yes. Is it registered to you? Yes. You're voluntarily surrendering it. He looked at me with curiosity. Why? I shrugged. I don't need it anymore. I walked out of the police station. The sun was bright. The air was cool. The world was full of possibilities. I got in my truck and drove home. And for the first time in 3 years, I didn't look over my shoulder too. I started living again. I went fishing with Sarah and Paul. I took the boys to the zoo. I went to the VFW hall and played rods with the old guys. I spent every evening on the porch with Rita. I stopped watching the news. I stopped checking the cameras. I stopped waiting for the worst. I just lived. There was a day, about 6 months later, when I was sitting on the porch. The sun was setting. Frank, she said, have you really let go? I thought about it. No, I said. I don't think we ever fully let go, but I've accepted it. I've accepted what happened. I've accepted that I did everything I could. And I've accepted that I can't control everything. So what do you do with the rest? I smiled. You love the people who are still here, and you let the rest go. She leaned her head on my shoulder. I'm glad I married you, she said. I'm glad you did too. Sarah and Paul had a baby girl. They named her Grace. I held her in my arms in the hospital room. She was so small. Her tiny fingers wrapped around my thumb. She looks like you, Sarah, I said. She looks like you, Dad. I looked at that baby girl, at my daughter, at my wife, and I cried. Not sad tears, joy. I thought about Grace, about the world she was growing up in, about all the things she would face, the pain, the heartbreak, the FAR, but also the love, the joy, the hope. I thought about what I would teach her, and I realized something. I would teach her that she was strong, that she was valuable, that she deserved to be treated with respect. I would teach her that sometimes people hurt you, and when they do, you don't have to accept it. You can fight back, you can protect yourself, and you can always ask for help. I think about my grandfather's knife. I think about all the years I held on to it. I think about what it represented. Not just the past, not just the tradition. It represented my willingness to fight, and I'm grateful for that. Because I needed that willingness. I needed that fight, but I also needed to learn when to put it down. That's what I learned through all of this. Through the turkey, through the blood, through the trial, through the years of preparation, I learned that love is fierce, but love is also forgiveness. Not forgiveness for the person who hurt you, forgiveness for yourself. Letting go of the anger so you can be free. Ra is happy now, she has Paul, she has Grace, she has a full life. Rutha is happy too, she's got her J. Rodden, she's got her roses, she's got her family, and I'm at peace, not because Derek is gone, not because justice was served, because I let go. I'm an old man. I'm not going to be around forever, but I know my family will be okay. I've taught them what I needed to teach them. I've shown them what it means to fight, and I've shown them what it means to stop fighting. That's the most important lesson. The turkey that rotted everything was just a turkey, but it wasn't really about the turkey. It was about the man who shoved my daughter into it. It was about the man who carved the backup bird like nothing happened. It was about a father's love, and a father's fight, and a father's victory. I still think about that day sometimes. The day Sarah's blood mixed with the gravy. The day I froze. That was the day I learned I wasn't done fighting. That was the day I rotted planning. And that was the day I stopped being just a father. I became a protector. I became a force. I became the man my daughter needed me to be. But that was also the day I rotted down a path I almost didn't come back from. The path of revenge, the path of anger, the path of constant vigilance. It took me years to realize that I had let Derek win. Not in the courtroom, not in the legal system, in my head. He had taken my peace, he had taken my joy, he had taken my ability to relax, and it took me a long time to take that back. That's what I want people to understand. When someone hurts you, the first step is to fight back. The second step is to protect yourself. The third step, the death step, is to let go. Because if you hold on to that anger forever, they win. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to be in your life. They're still controlling you, and the only way to truly defeat them is to let go. So I'm telling my story. Not just so you know what happened, so you understand what I learned. The turkey was a symbol. A symbol of everything that went wrong. But it's also a symbol of how I fixed it, and how I finally found peace. I still have Thanksgiving dinners, every year, same house, same table, same family, but now there's no FAR, there's only love. Paul carves the turkey now. He does it refully gent, like he's handling something precious. Sarah sits beside him, she's smiling. The blue dress is gone, but she has a new dress now, a green one. The color of hope. The boys are older, but they still run around the yard. Grace is running to walk. And I sit at the head of the table. I watch them, and I smile. That's the ending. Not Derek in prison, not Sarah's bruises healed, not the justice system working. It's this: a family, gathered around a table, eating turkey, laughing, loving. That's the real victory. If this story touched you, subscribe to our channel. Tell us your story in the comments. Let us know how you found your peace. And remember, the strongest people aren't the ones who never get knocked down. They're the ones who get back up, and then they let go.第5幕，最后的切割。宣判后第二天早上我醒来时，感觉比过去几年都要轻松。阳光透过窗帘照进来，玛莎还在睡。我躺了一会儿，听着她的呼吸平稳安宁。我起床煮了咖啡，黑的不加糖。52年来每个早上都喝同样的咖啡，但这早上味道不同了，它尝起来像是自由的味道。我走到门廊上，街区很安静，松树在微风中摇曳。一只蓝松鸦停在篱笆上看着我。我在那把旧的摇椅上坐下，父亲坐的那把，多年来我修了10几次的那把。我摇着想着3年的筹划，3年的恐惧，3年的等待最坏的事发生，而现在它结束了。德里克在监狱里，他出不来了。法官说得很清楚，因为违反保护令再加5年。之后假释委员会会看他的记录，他们会尽量让他留在里面。他玩呢，但我还没玩。还有一件事要做，我去了车库，打开工具箱，祖父的刀躺在里面，刀刃在光下闪闪发光。我拿起它，在手里。我想起了第一个感恩节，德里克把沙拉撞进火鸡里的样子，他的血混进肉质的样子，他若无其事地切被用火鸡的样子。我想起了第二个感恩节卷宗，摄像机证人，德里克发现自己被设局时的表情。我想起了之后的岁月威胁，信件准备，我做了所有这些。现在我要完成它。我用布把刀包好放进盒子里，我开车去了邮局，店员是个年轻人，看起来很无聊。我要寄这，我说，寄到哪？ 我给了他地址，他看了看，那是监狱。对，囚犯不能收包裹，你知道吧？这不是寄给囚犯的。他皱眉，那给谁？他母亲。阿尔玛格里芬住在俄亥俄州一间小公寓里，审判后他失去了房子，律师费花光了他的退休金，朋友们抛弃了他，他独自一人，他是他把自己变成的那样。而他要收到我寄来的包裹了，盒子里有一封信，手写的，我花了不少时间，每一个字都想好了。亲爱的阿尔玛，我不恨你，我以前恨过，但我已经没有力气再恨了。我知道你爱你儿子，我知道你想保护他，但你保护他免于承担行为的后果，而这样做，你帮他毁了我女儿的生活。莎拉在抗，他和一个好男人在一起，他很幸福，他自由了。我想让你知道这些，我还想让你知道，我不想看到你受苦，你已经对自己做了足够的惩罚，但我想让你明白你做了什么。我不是让你内疚，只是让你知道，真相是我开始比复仇更真实的东西，而真相是你不是坏人，你是一个做了糟糕选择的母亲，而现在你在为他们付出代价。我原谅你不是因为你配得上，而是因为抓着愤怒不放正在毁了我自己。我写这封信给你，是想让你知道，我已经结束了，我结束了战斗，结束了恐惧，结束了仇恨，我打算用余生去爱我的家人，我要放下其他所有事。我希望你也能这么做，弗兰克。我把盒子寄了出去，我不期待恢复，我也不想要，我只是想关上那扇门，那就是我做的。我开车回家，玛莎在，他在种玫瑰，他手上有腻，脸颊上有一道土印。玛莎，
我说他抬头，
你做了什么？弗兰克，寄了一封信。给谁？阿尔玛，他慢慢站起来，在围裙上擦手。
为什么？
因为我抓着他太久了。他看了我很久，然后点头。好。他说，这样好。我帮他种完了玫瑰，我们整个上午都在花园里干活，阳光温暖，泥土松软，花儿在开放，我感到平静。这不是假装一切都好的那种强制平静，真正的平静，那种放手之后才会到来的平静。那天下午，莎拉和保罗来了。保罗提着个冷藏箱，里面有早晨在湖里钓的鲜鱼，给你钓的，弗兰克。他说，我看着那些鱼是太阳鱼，莎拉和我从前常在码头上钓的那种，今晚把它们烤了。我说，我们在外面吃烤鱼，玉米棒、土豆沙拉，男孩们在院子里跑，他们现在大了11岁和13岁，长成了强健的年轻人。他们不知道德里克的事，不知道细节，我们保护他们不受那影响，但他们知道莎拉经历过艰难的事，他们知道保罗让她幸福，那就够了。晚饭后我们坐在门廊上，太阳在下沉，天空是橙色、粉色和金色的。我看了73年的同样的天空。爸，莎拉说，我要跟你说件事。
我转向他，什么？
他深吸了一口气。我一直在想你做的事，那些年，那些筹划，那些恐惧。我做了我必须做的，我知道。他握住我的手。但我也要你知道一件事。什么？我原谅他了。我瞪着他，你原谅德里克了？对，你怎么能做到？他笑了，一种忧伤而温柔的笑，因为抓着愤怒不放正在毁了我自己。我害怕了那么久，然后我意识到，只要我还恨他，他就对我还有控制力，他还在我脑子里，他还在控制我的生活。他握紧了我的手，我不想再被他控制了，我想自由，而自由的唯一方式就是放手。我不知道该说什么，这么久以来，我被愤怒吞噬，被正义的需求吞噬，被看到德里克受惩罚的需求吞噬，而我女儿刚刚给我展示了另一条路。我不知道我能不能做到。我说爸，他用清澈坚定的眼神看着我，你是我认识的最坚强的人，如果有人能放手，那人就是你。我笑了，你一直是最有智慧的呢，宝贝。不，他说，我只是有一个好老师。那晚我坐在车库里，我打开工具箱，刀不在了，我寄给了阿尔玛，但点38还在，我拿起来在手里握了很久，然后把它放进盒子里，和寄刀时用的一样的盒子。我把盒子放上卡车。第二天早上，我开车去了警察局。弗兰克，前台警官说，有什么可以帮你的？我想上交这。我把盒子放在柜台上，他打开，看到枪时眼睛睁大了。那是一把点3把。对。登记在你名下吗？对。
你自愿上交？
对。他好奇地看着我。为什么？我耸耸肩。
我不再需要它了。
我走出警察局，阳光明亮，空气清爽，世界充满了可能性。我上了卡车，开车回家。3年来第一次我没有回头看，我开始重新生活了。我和莎拉、保罗一起去钓鱼，我带孩子们去动物园，我去 VFU 大厅和老伙计们，我每晚和玛莎坐在门廊上，我不再看新闻，不再检查摄像头，你不再等待最坏的事，我只是活着。大约6个月后有一天，我坐在门廊上，玛莎在我身边，太阳在下沉。弗兰克，他说，
你真的放下了吗？
我想了想，没有。我说，我觉得我们永远不会完全放下，但我接受了，我接受了发生的事，接受了我做了所有我能做的，接受了我无法控制一切， 那剩下的你怎么办？以我笑了，你爱还在的人，剩下的你放手。他把头靠在我肩上，我很高兴嫁给了你。他说，我也很高兴。莎拉和保罗生了一个女儿，他们给她取名叫格蕾丝。我在病房里抱着她，她那么小，那么脆弱，她的小手指缠着我的大拇指。她像你，莎拉。我说，她像你爸。我看着那小女婴，我看着我的女儿，看着我的妻子，我哭了，不是悲伤的眼泪，而是喜悦。我想着格蕾丝，是想着她将要长大的世界，是想着她将要面对的一切痛苦、心碎、恐惧，但也还有爱、喜悦、希望。我想着我要叫她什么，然后我意识到了什么，我会叫她，她很强壮，她很珍贵，她值得被尊重。我会叫她，有时候人会伤害你，而当他们这样做时，你不必接受，你可以反击，你可以保护自己，而且你永远可以求助。我想起祖父的刀，想起我抓着他的那些年，想起它代表什么，不只是过去，不只是传统，它代表了我愿意战斗。我很感激这一点，因为我需要那种意愿，我需要那场战斗，但我也需要学会何时放下。那就是我从这一切中学到的，通过那只火鸡，通过那些血，通过那场审判，通过那些年的准备，我学到了爱是激烈的，但爱也是宽恕，不是宽恕伤害你的人，是宽恕你自己，放下愤怒，你才能自由。莎拉现在很幸福，她有保罗，我有格蕾丝，有充实的生活。玛莎也很幸福，她有她的花园，她的玫瑰，她的家人，而我平静了，也不是因为德里克走了，不是因为正义得到了伸张，因为我放手了，我是个老人了，我不会永远都在，但我知道我的家人会好的。我教会了他们我需要教会的东西，我向他们展示了战斗意味着什么，我也向他们展示了停止战斗意味着什么。那是最重要的课，引发一切的那只火鸡只是只火鸡，但它其实不是关于那只火鸡的，它是关于那把我女儿撞进去的男人，它是关于那若无其事地切被用火鸡的男人，它是关于一个父亲的爱，一个父亲的战斗，一个父亲的胜利。我有时还会想起那天莎拉的血混进肉汁的那天，我冻结的那天，那天我学到了我还没打完仗，那天我开始了，那天我不再仅仅是一个父亲，我成了一个保护者，我成了一股力量，我成了我女儿需要我成为的那男人。但那也是我走上一条几乎没能回来的路的日子，复仇之路，愤怒之路，不断警觉之路。我花了好几年才意识到，我让德里克赢了，不是在法庭上，亦不是在法律系统里，在我的脑子里，他夺走了我的平静，夺走了我的快乐，夺走了我放松的能力，而我花了好长时间才把它夺回来。那是我想让人们理解的。当有人伤害你时，第一步是反击，第二步是保护自己，第三步，最难的一步是放手，因为如果你永远抓着愤怒不放，他们就赢了，他们什么都不用做，他们不必在你的生活里，他们永远在控制你，而真正打败他们的唯一方式就是放手。所以我在讲我的故事，不只是让你知道发生了什么，而是让你明白我学到了什么。那只火鸡是一个象征，一个一切出错的象征，但它也是我如何修复一切的象征，以及我如何最终找到平静的象征。我仍然过感恩节，每年都过，同一栋房子，同一张桌子，同一个家庭，但现在没有恐惧了，只有爱。保罗现在切火鸡，他切得仔细，心柔像是处理什么珍贵的东西。莎拉坐在他旁边，他在笑。蓝裙子不在了，但他有了新裙子，绿色的希望的颜色。男孩们大了，他们还在院子里跑。格蕾丝在学习走路，而我坐在餐桌主位，我看着他们，我笑了，那就是结局。不是德里克在监狱里，也不是莎拉的余情愈合了。不是司法系统起了作用，是这些。一家人围坐在桌旁吃火鸡，笑着爱着，那才是真正的胜利。如果这故事触动了你，订阅我们的频道，在评论里告诉我们你的故事，告诉我们你如何找到了你的平静。记住，最坚强的人不是从未跌倒的人，而是跌倒后又站起来的人。然后他们放手了。